Pirates Full Level System, Chapter 541-560. Chapter 541 Harvest and Chance Encounter. Olivia was not surprised by being interrupted. Chin Luo and the three of them had already noticed when the manager of the flower shop cafe came over, but what they were talking about wasn't any secret, and it didn't matter if they were heard. What's more, if you want to know more about the secrets of the flower shop cafe and whether it is related to the Guardian family, you really want to have a relationship with the store manager. It turned out to be the store manager, which surprised me. Olivia pretended to be a young girl in Chateau City at this time, pretending to be shocked. It was me who took the liberty, but according to the accent, some of them are not from the locality of South Hill Rough. The manager of the flower shop cafe said that he brought the coffee ordered by Chin Luo. Yes, the store manager, we are all tourists. Specifically, the three of us are tourists now. I am Vio, a travel scholar, and the goal is to study the history and architecture of various beautiful cities. He is Luo, a traveling businessman whose goal is to become an independent businessman. Of course, if he fails, he will have to go back and inherit the family's tens of thousands of properties. Olivia smiled and introduced herself to the store manager, of course using pseudonyms. Hello store manager, don't listen to his nonsense. If I really want this money, I'll eat and wait until I die. Why would I come out and suffer? All of them are movie stars. Chin Luo greeted the store manager while laughing and scolding Olivia. She is Pace, the target. Olivia pointed to Momoshiki, the only woman in the group, and said after a while, it should be the #1 foodie in the world. Go away. Momoshiki scratched Olivia without hesitation. Outsiders seemed to be a young couple, but in Chin Luo's eyes, it was clearly orange inside. According to the plan, we should have come to South Shiraf earlier, but you know, because of the undead fleet, we had to go back home first. So we're only now coming to South Shiraf to continue our trip. After a series of conversations, Olivia and the store manager gradually got to know each other. Chin Luo would not believe it without Olivia's handsome appearance and academic status. At least the store manager and Chin Luo are still almost strangers. After a while, the store manager gave the three of them 3 cups of free signature flower tea and went to entertain their guests. Chin Luo and the three of them also had the opportunity to take a good look at the flower shop cafe, and by the way, to see if Olivia had anything to gain. Meyerva Alfred Austin Holborn Ignatius Woods, this is the name of the store manager. Olivia said suddenly and thoughtlessly. What's the matter? Momoshiki asked suspiciously. Chin Luo did the same, except for the long name, they couldn't see anything strange. Don't you think it's strange? Such surnames, names and naming methods are rare nowadays. As far as I know, only noble families from 1,000 years ago liked to use this naming method to show the dignity of their descendants. Bloodline and identity. Quote. Being explained by Olivia, Chin Luo and Momoshiki both reacted. Could it be that the store manager is? Olivia shook her head and said, not sure yet, maybe just a coincidence. Then Olivia, Momoshiki, and Chin Luo chatted casually, and because there were other guests nearby, they didn't continue to talk about sensitive topics. And at this time, Chin Luo only had time to scan the entire flower shop cafe. The flower shop cafe is one of the recommended places in the South Hill Raft travel book. There are many customers in the shop, especially the signature flower tea given by the manager. Even Chin Luo, who is not used to drinking this kind of thing, can't help but sigh the deliciousness and fragrance of scented tea. The Florist Cafe occupies a large area, almost 3 times the size of a typical Bridge City store. One half is an open-air seat like Chin Luo and several others, and one half is a 2-story building made of bamboo. The flowers in the store are both commodities and decorations. There is a screen made of bamboo and wood on the side of each tea seat. The screen is filled with all kinds of flowers, and vines are wrapped around the screen. In the hustle and bustle of Bridge City, only the flower shop cafe has such a fairy tale. There are also many customers who buy flowers. After paying the price to the waiter, the customers can directly take the flowers on the screen away. How about Vio? My shop is okay, I wonder if it's qualified for the books you wrote." After greeting the guests, the shop manager came back. The manager is really joking. This flower shop cafe is one of the most incredible fairyland I have ever seen, and I will definitely focus on it in the book. But manager, I see your shop is mainly in white flowers. It's the flowers that create the atmosphere, says Olivia. That's not true, little brother. In the past, the store used to focus on blue enchantresses, dream roses and other flowers of various colors, which can give people different beauty. Before waiting for the store manager to answer, the one on the side, the uncle, said that it seemed that he knew the store manager and was a frequent visitor here. "I know what you're talking about. I've seen a lot of white flowers, but I can't recognize this one." Olivia noticed that not only in the store, but also on the head of the store manager. It's no wonder that this flower is a unique flower called white cherry, which is unique to our South Blue. It is a symbol of the Holy Spirit, and it also represents the yearning for relatives. The store manager explained. There was some melancholy in her tone. "Is it really so?" When no one was paying attention, Olivia's mouth curled into a smile. After staying for a while, Chin Luo and the three got up and left, and they had to go to the lighthouse clock tower to see. Chin Luo found out that the buildings here in South Hill like to combine two in one, whether it is a combination of a flower shop and a coffee shop, or the combination of the clock tower and the lighthouse in front of him. From a long distance, Chin Luo and the three of them could see the sign in the clock center of the clock tower. The coat of arms of the Guardian family. Olivia should know this family emblem. This family emblem is not the family emblem of the Guardian family of South Blue alone. It should be the common family emblem of all Guardian families. Olivia had seen this mark in the ruins of the Guardian family near Chateau's castle before. The three Chin Luo really thought so until they met an acquaintance in front of the lighthouse. Gui Deng Shuiyu was also very surprised to meet Chin Luo here, and he came out of the corner and gave Chin Luo a salute. Gui Deng Shuiyu was sent by Chin Luo to approach the Red Hair pirates. Since he is here, doesn't it mean that the Red Hair is in the beacon tower? In an instant, Chin Luo's mind passed countless thoughts. Red-haired Shanks, you really know a lot. Chapter 542. Meet the Red Hair Pirates for the first time. While Chin Luo was thinking in place, Olivia and Momoshiki also learned from Gui Deng Shuiyu that the Red Hair Pirates were in the lighthouse clock tower, and it was also the temporary stronghold of the Red Hair Pirates in South Hill Rough. The pirate ship of the red-haired pirates was slightly disguised and stopped by the lighthouse. Chin Luo, shall we still go in? Momoshiki asked. Enter, of course, we are just tourists, what does it matter? Chin Luo also wanted to take this opportunity to explore Shanks Bottom. The three of Chin Luo continued to walk towards the lighthouse. Ghost Deng Shuiyu did not follow, but chose a place to continue to hide. The task of approaching the red-haired pirates assigned by Chin Luo had to continue, so why would he appear with Chin Luo? Isn't it exposed? The phrase, looking at a mountain and running a dead horse, is also applicable to this lighthouse. It's not because of how high the lighthouse is, but because the road is really hard to walk. It seemed that they were only 200 or 300 meters away, but it took Chin Luo abruptly 5 minutes to get to the bottom of the lighthouse. During this time, Olivia continued to tell us the history of this lighthouse bell tower. When South Hill Rough was first established, this lighthouse was still a very important building. Because South Hill Rough is an archipelago, there are as many as 787 reefs around the islets. When ships enter and leave South Sharaf port at night, if there is no guidance from this big lighthouse, it is 80% unfortunate. Later, with the development of South Hill Rough, the area of the city became larger and larger, and more islets and reefs were developed to become part of the city, so that the lighthouse slowly lost its function. When the city of South Hill Rough reached its current size, the city's port was set in the opposite direction of the lighthouse. The reclaimed port there is larger, can accommodate more ships, and is safer for ships to come in and out of. New lighthouses have also been built, but to little effect. People at that time were grateful for the contribution of the old lighthouse and installed a clock for the lighthouse to make a clock tower. However, as the city center is farther and farther away from the lighthouse, the role of the clock tower is getting smaller and smaller, and it is gradually forgotten. You know, it only took about 20 years from the appearance of the lighthouse to the clock tower, but these things happened hundreds of years ago. Now even many people in South Hill Rough only know that this lighthouse clock tower has existed for a long time. The area of the lighthouse has become an abandoned place, and various illegal buildings have been built, becoming a paradise for pirates and gangster organizations. Chin Luo and the three had to turn left and right before they walked under the lighthouse. And Guidong Shuiyu chose to observe the movements of the red-haired pirates in that place, probably because the buildings in this area were too cluttered, and only there was the main road for traffic. The faint coercion emanating from Chin Luo to deter those pirates finally lost its effect in front of the lighthouse. Stop in front, this is the temporary station of the red-haired pirates, and they are not allowed to come over, said a person guarding the door of the lighthouse. A fat figure, wearing small sunglasses, a green and white striped hat and shirt, red sneakers, and meat in his hands. It's you, green, fat man. According to Guidong Shuiyu's information, the fat man's name is Lackey Lu, a member of the Red Hair Pirates. After that, with the important combat power in the second half of the Great Route of the Red-Haired King's Landing, he is still just a young fat man. Ha ha, the little fat man is so cute. His flesh is shaking when he talks. Indeed, as Momosugi said, Lackey Lu's words are not only unconvincing, but even a little funny. Ah, is that so? Hee hee. The fat man held the meat in one hand and smirked while touching the back of his head with the other. Seeing Lackey Lu's appearance, Momosugi laughed outright, and Chin Luo noticed that even Olivia couldn't help but chuckle. Lackey Lu, didn't Shanks say that you don't need to come to guard the gate? I don't want to be disturbed by pirates who don't have long eyes again. At this time, a man ran out of the lighthouse. He probably heard the movement at the door. Don't worry to come out and take a look. Was Ben Beckman, the deputy captain of the Red Hair Pirates, with a very high IQ and strong strength. At this time, he had long black hair in a ponytail, wearing a black shirt and baggy trousers, with marten boots on his feet, and a rifle tied around his waist. Beckman, a young lady said I'm cute. The green fat man was still shy. Ignoring Lackey Lu properly, Beckman said to Chin Luo and the three of them, the three of you don't know why you came here. After a short glance, Beckman knew that people were not easy to mess with. First of all, the three of them don't dress like pirates, but more like tourists or businessmen. But can ordinary businessmen pass through the street filled with a large number of pirates and criminals without anything happening? We are just tourists from afar, come and visit this historic lighthouse. Olivia said. There's nothing wrong with what Olivia said, but it's just not convincing. The lighthouse has a long history and good, but even the locals of South Hill Rough have abandoned this useless lighthouse. How can people in other places know about the lighthouse? Coupled with the fact that Olivia consciously or unintentionally aimed at the mark in the center of the big clock on the lighthouse and compared it with the family crest of the Guardians in her memory, Beckman had a feeling of being seen through the secret. Involuntarily, Beckman's hand was slowly approaching the rifle at his waist. That's not good, we have no plans to fight. But is your gun modified? It looks good, Chin Luo said lightly, and he didn't know when he was holding a rifle in his hand. Beckman was shocked, his right hand hurriedly touched his waist, and he glanced at the corner of his eyes. There was still a rifle at his waist, and the person in front of him was his rifle. How the other party did it, I don't even have the slightest feeling. Beckman was facing a formidable enemy, and sweat dripped from his forehead. Can't beat it, the strong-comers are like monsters, and the Red Hair Pirates are not opponents at all. Beckman, what's wrong with you? Captain Shanks, Beckman is sick. The green fat man, who had recovered, noticed that something was wrong with Beckman and shouted loudly. What happened? A voice came, and then three figures filed out from the lighthouse. Dracula Mahawk with a black knife, headed by the red-haired Shanks. The four sovereigns in the future, the legendary person with the ability to face the fruit. Hey, give me Shanks a face. Chapter 543 Visit the Lighthouse. Hey, my friend, no matter what happened just now, give me the red-haired Shanks a face, and let him go. As soon as he came up, Shanks saw with the sharp eyes of Chin Luo, who was still being treasured by Beckman. Gun, I have some preliminary judgments about the situation. Without hesitation, Shanks' face fruit ability was activated, manually funny. It's so naive, Shanks. You think that with your current ability, you can interfere with my Chin Luo's judgment by relying on the fruit of face. HMPH. Okay. Chin Luo threw the rifle to Beckman. Chin Luo was not affected by some force majeure, he just didn't plan to fight. Really, you have to believe me. Things turned so fast that no one could react. A gust of wind blew and took away the glasses that had been shattered to the ground. The three of you came from afar, probably not just to meet me, Shanks. Shanks asked after the atmosphere eased. We simply want to visit this lighthouse, and I don't think Captain Shanks will turn us away. Besides, this lighthouse is not the property of Captain Shanks, and I can't think of any reason for you. Refuse us to enter the tower, Chin Luo said casually. After Chin Luo finished speaking, Shanks looked at Chin Luo blankly, and then kept walking towards Chin Luo. With Shanks' inexplicable actions, the scene became tense again, and Hawkeye couldn't help but draw out the black knife behind him. Wait, Beckman just wanted to remind Shanks not to mess around, the person who came was as powerful as a monster. But before Beckman had the chance, Shanks took the lead and said, Lord Chin Luo, is that you? I haven't seen you for a long time. After taking off his hat, Shanks turned to Chin Luo. A gift. Chin Luo was stunned, but he was recognized by Shanks. Chin Luo made some slight modifications. Although it was not as exaggerated as being a fat man in Chitose City before, it was not enough to be recognized at once. This Shanks has something. Clam, did we know each other before? Chin Luo was pretending to be stupid. Lord Chin Luo may not know me. I was a former crew member of the Roger Pirates. When we were in the Sabayati archipelago, the Lord took us over the holy land of Mariajoy. At that time, we even urinated towards Tenryubito below, Shanks said with a laugh. Hey, Shanks, can't you talk about the fact that I defeated your co-captain really easily, but you have to talk about the embarrassing thing about throwing water into the sky. Don't you see the strange eyes of the people around you? Ah, the captain turned out to be a crew member of One Piece, King of Pirates, I just found out now. Fatty Green and the others exclaimed. As expected of my nemesis, the crew of One Piece, King of Pirates. A certain arrogant eagle-eyed exclaimed Wei. Different from the members of the red-haired pirates, Momoshiki and Olivia gave Chin Luo naked disgust. But because of the interaction between Shanks and his benefactor, unnecessary fights did not occur, and Shanks did not ask any more questions, and brought Chin Luo and the three into the lighthouse. And after knowing that the other party was Chin Luo, the people of the Red Hair Pirates did not have the courage to use force to reject him. Who is Chin Luo, the mysterious powerhouse who appeared at the same time as Lu Yunshin? It is said that both of them are from a certain hidden family. Although this Chin Luo is much more low-key than Lu Yunshin, he is not someone who dares to provoke him. The internal structure of the lighthouse is very simple. The lighthouse has a total of 12 floors, and each floor has a function of about 4 meters. The height of the entire lighthouse reaches 50 meters. As a lighthouse, such a size is rare. Starting from the first floor, the center of the lighthouse is the room. From more than 100 square meters on the first floor to more than 30 square meters on the top floor, the size of the room is constantly shrinking. Because of the retrofit into a clock tower, the rooms on the 5th to 10th floors were pierced through the mechanical device used to place the clock. The interior decoration of the lighthouse is very simple, just rudely painted. Looking at the appearance of many walls with exposed bricks, it should have not been repaired for a long time. But even so, the lighthouse is still deeply imprinted with the shadow of the Guardian family. Following Olivia's gesture, Chin Luo also saw the imprint of the Guardian family's family crest in the corners of the 3 stairs on each floor. In the 6 rooms that still exist, there should be murals on the walls of the rooms, but because of time, the murals have become mottled fragments, and even the color has faded. Even at Olivia's level, it is impossible to restore the above. Chin Luo and the three of them also visited the clock platform on the 10th floor. Except for some family emblems, Olivia did not find anything else. Could it be that the clues about that guardian family are about to end here? On the top floor, the room under which the lighthouse spotlights are placed, the style of the room changes. At a glance, it can be seen that it is very retro and exquisite decoration. Although there is nothing precious, the square bookshelf and a round table in the middle indicate that this place used to be the office of some people. Now, the bookshelves are empty and dusty everywhere, and it has been a long time since no one came. Without caring about it, Olivia walked to a window with a rather odd shape. "How did you find anything?" Chin Luo leaned up and asked. "Zero. This is the observatory." "Observatory? What?" Facing her ignorant man, Olivia sighed and started the science work again. The so-called observatory is a windowsill designed to set up a high-power telescope. Its width and height will be much larger than ordinary windows, and see these holes on the side, they are all used for erection and fixation. Quote. Olivia pointed to the various holes on the edge of the observatory. After being explained in this way, combined with the position of the observatory, an idea appeared in Chin Luo's mind. This is probably the place where the guardian family constantly monitors the seal in the Lost Sea area, but it was abandoned for some unknown reason. Chin Luo and Olivia looked at each other, and their thoughts were exchanged quickly through their eyes. Although there are no direct things and clues, it at least shows that the guardian family of South Blue is inextricably linked with this kind of city. Even the development of this city has the power of this family in secret. It is very likely that the sacred place of this guardian family is in this city full of historical mysteries. After roughly visiting the entire lighthouse, Chin Luo and the three said goodbye to Shanks. "Sure enough, it's an interesting place, but it's a pity that I haven't had an owner for too long, and it's a bit tattered," Chin Luo said as if a tourist was giving a testimonial. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Shanks felt that when Chin Luo was talking, there were no pupils in Chin Luo's eyes. Chapter 544 Discoveries in the White Eye. Shanks blinked, looked at Chin Luo's eyes again, and found that everything was normal, so he took it as his own mistake and didn't care. "Isn't it? When I first came, the locals said that this was a dangerous and haunted building. I moved in here with the determination to die," Shanks responded with a smile. "It's not that you have used up all the money, Captain, or we won't have any money to stay in the hotel," Beckman said with a wry smile at this time. "Ha ha ha," Shanks concealed his embarrassment with a big laugh. Ignoring the frolic of the red-haired pirates, Chin Luo left with Olivia and Momoshiki. Shanks and his group of men acted very well, without showing any clues. But there is one thing that Shanks never thought of: there is a thing in this world called white eyes. After Chin Luo and the three searched the entire lighthouse with no results, Chin Luo opened his eyes and glanced at the entire lighthouse again. It was complete, without any dead ends. At the same time, Chin Luo also discovered two people, a little girl and a young man, who were tried to hide by the red hair pirates. The entire lighthouse should have a total of 14 floors. Except for the hidden basement, according to the building structure Chin Luo saw, through one of the 4 large pillars in the rooms on the 1st to 5th floors, it is possible to reach the end of the building. A hidden room 5 meters below the basement, which is the 14th floor of the lighthouse. The two children were on the 14th floor at this time. Shanks should know something. Without Shanks and others to provide living materials, Chin Luo didn't think these two children could hide under Shanks' eyes for so long. Moreover, this lighthouse is a stronghold run by the guardian family. If the organs here are not informed by the family, outsiders can only find the first underground floor at most, and it is impossible to find such a hidden second underground floor. Chin Luo smiled lightly. He planned to go back and tell the two girls about this matter. Now let Shanks continue his performance. At the same time, after confirming that Chin Luo and others had left, the 5 members of the red-haired pirates fell on the ground as if they had collapsed. No way, acting in front of such a big man, my heart is pounding so fast that it's about to explode. The green fat man, that is, Lackey Lou said, he was really nervous. Ha ha ha, we should be happy now. Lord Chin Luo, he is Chin Luo who is as famous as the god of flowing clouds. We actually had the courage to lie to him, and we succeeded. Shanks said with a big laugh, and then he said to Beckman. Beckman, thanks to your improvisation, otherwise I would have panicked. And Mahawk, how did you do it with your poker face? HMPH. Beckman meant to say that these were all basic operations. Hawkeye said calmly, a powerful swordsman doesn't need these side-by-side things. Hawkeye is disgusting Shanks and others for acting, but in fact his heartbeat has not calmed down. Shanks. What else can Shanks say? As his old enemy and close friend, Hawkeye is only traveling with him temporarily. Hawkeye's goal has always been the world's #1 swordsman. But lying on the ground and saying such things, do you think it's appropriate for Hawkeye? Shanks, are you sure we won't tell Lord Chin Luo about it? Lord Chin Luo is obviously also here to find the Guardian family, but with Lord Chin Luo's strength, he must be much less able to spy on this kind of power. Let us tell him to ensure the safety of those 2 children. Quote. After lying down for a while, Beckman said leisurely. I have also considered this, but Beckman, I don't dare to take the risk. We promised others to deliver this child safely to the Holy Land of the Guardian family. I have always promised to do it. Shanks said from standing up on the ground. He pressed the straw hat on his head with one hand, revealing a row of white teeth. This kind of appearance has appeared in Roger, Shanks, and Luffy, and the power of belief is extremely dazzling. Of course, several others said in unison. When night came, Chin Luo and the 3 of them rented a small courtyard of a temporary villa. Hello, is that the pretty waitress? That's right, I'm sorry to contact you at such a late hour. I have something to trouble you. No, I don't want this service. I just want to ask if you can take me to see your friend at that newspaper tomorrow. Well, okay, see you tomorrow morning. After finally hanging up the phone, Chin Luo took a deep breath. Okay, I've made an appointment to go to the newspaper office tomorrow morning. Can the 2 wives put their hands down? It turned out that Momoshiki and Olivia stayed on either side of Chin Luo. Their hands grabbed the flesh around Chin Luo's waist, as if they were going to perform the top 10 tortures of the Qing dynasty. When did the 2 women put their hands on it? Probably when they heard the service. It turned out that after Chin Luo came back, he revealed that Shanks was hiding 2 children through his eyes. Momoshiki and Olivia naturally don't care about the 2 hidden children, but the Guardian family behind the 2 children is what they care about. There is no need for confirmation at all. Chin Luo and the 3 can be sure that these 2 children are descendants of the Guardian family, and know about the sacred place of the Guardian family. West Blue, whose heritage has been broken long ago, the Guardian family of South Blue obviously still exists in the world. This trip, Olivia first wanted to find more information about the Undead Fleet, and secondly, she wanted to find a solution to the Undead Fleet, and there was no doubt that these things were found in the Holy Land of the Guardian family. Whether it's finding someone from the Guardian family to cooperate or getting information, Olivia's goal can be accomplished. But since these 2 children are descendants of the Guardian family, what about the manager of the flower shop cafe? This made Chin Luo and the 3 who had clues confused again. The end. Chin Luo, Olivia and Momoshiki discussed and decided that the future plan will be carried out on 4 lines. On the other side of a red-haired pirate group, Ghostlight Shuiyu will continue to monitor and approach them. The manager of the flower shop cafe will be digged by Momoshiki and Olivia. These 2 are relatively obvious clues. As long as you dig them, you will gain something. But the next 2 are more uncertain. The first is to find the relationship between the large-scale Chamber of Commerce organization and the Guardian family, the management agency of South Hill Rough. The other is to get some useful information from the newspaper that reported the incident. However, these 2 are likely to be fruitless, so Chin Luo slowly tossed it away. Chapter 545 Reporter Naphthaline. Thinking about it carefully, recently, Lu Yun's identity as a disguise has been very active. On the contrary, Qin Luo's deity is a little low-key. He has been busy as Lu Yun since he passed his face in the capital of Seven Waters last time. It can be said that he has no sense of existence. If it goes on like this, it is estimated that many people will not remember Qin Luo as such a person. This time, let him use Qin Luo's identity to make a big fight. Early in the morning, Qin Luo left for the place agreed with the waitress. "Good morning, Mr. Luo. Hey, where are your other two companions?" After successfully meeting with the waiter asked Qin Luo while saying hello. "They go and see other sights. Vio is a travel scholar who studies history and architecture, and there's so much to see in South Hill Rough that he can't stop for a moment. I am very interested in family affairs and want to write it into his book." Quote. Having said that, Qin Luo spread out his hands and continued with a helpless look. "Their young couple have both lived together. Send me over alone to get in touch with your newspaper friends first." Temporary compilation by Qin 16 Luo. According to the plan of the three, Olivia should now take Momoshiki to the flower shop cafe to further dig out the store manager's information. Qin Luo couldn't say that the two of them were the manager of the flower shop cafe. "Haha, Mr. Luo seems miserable." The waitress was amused by Qin Luo's exaggerated appearance. "It's okay, for the sake of having beautiful women to accompany me, I reluctantly agreed to them." Qin Luo said. "Mr. Luo can really talk. I'm not a beauty." Talking and laughing all the way, Qin Luo and the two soon met the waitress's newspaper friend. Because there was still work to do, after introducing Qin Luo to his friends, the waitress left first. The waitress didn't get nothing, at least she was satisfied with the amount of bounty Qin Luo gave. Yes, except for the problem of the rental villa, all other help is not free, but Qin Luo is really not bad now. "Hello, I'm a reporter from the South Hill Raff local newspaper, Li Nai Leander." After sitting down in an ordinary cafe, the reporter named Fei Nai introduced himself first. "Hello, Miss Kanai, you can call me Luo, or Mr. Luo. I'm a traveling businessman. The reason why I asked you out this time, I think you have also learned from your friends, so I will also gate of opening ask straight to the point. How much do you know about that mysterious family, Miss Nai?" Quote. After introducing himself, Qin Luo went straight to the topic. "No hurry, Mr. Luo, before that, I want to know why a traveling merchant would want to know about this family. It won't help your business in the slightest, and may even bring Mr. into trouble." Miss Nai Nai looked directly at Qin Luo. Obviously if Qin Luo didn't give a reason, she would not tell him the news about the mysterious family. "Well, a friend who traveled with me is a researcher in history and architecture, he." Qin Luo stopped halfway through. This kind of thing is fine to fool ordinary people, but the shrewd reporter lady in front of her is obviously no longer in this category. From her playful eyes, Qin Luo could see that she didn't believe a single word of what she said. "It's really troublesome. Don't a smart person like Miss Nai know that sometimes it's not good to be too smart? Isn't this kind of plot often happening? I know too many reporters are killed just after going out. Now," Qin Luo said in a joking tone. The face of Qin Luo's threat, Miss Nai's heart was not fluctuating, and she even took a sip of coffee with enjoyment. "Okay, I can answer Miss Nai's question, but before that, does Miss Nai need to prove that you have valuable information in your hands, or else you don't need to go ahead?" "Yes, not to mention those rotten streets." Quote. With that said, Qin Luo picked up the spoon in the coffee and played with his index finger and thumb. In Qin Luo's hands, the iron spoon was rubbed at will like it was made of paper, and it turned into a ball in less than a second. Afterwards, Qin Luo flicked it casually and penetrated the chimney of the house opposite the cafe, causing a lot of jumping. I believe that with the eyesight of Miss Nai Nai in front of her, she will not be able to see the powerful strength displayed by Qin Luo, so if you still want to die, don't do anything like lying. Grim Reaper is already busy, so don't add any more workload to them, alright. Fang Nai swallowed her saliva with difficulty. After calming down for a while, she knew that she had kicked a steel plate this time. Even the experts sent by the newspaper office to support her seemed to be less powerful than those in front of her. After sorting out his thoughts, Fang Nai felt that this was also an opportunity. I was one of the 20 reporters on the ship that recorded the entire process of the mysterious family and the undead fleet. I witnessed the whole process, and I actually knew this earlier than other reporters. The existence of the family, and has been undercover for several years. I have never told anyone about this later. Quote. If it's true as Miss Nai said, then Miss Nai 190 is exactly the person Chin Luo is looking for, and he doesn't need to get information from the newspaper anymore. However, what he said was useless. Chin Luo thought of a way to verify the female reporter in front of him. The pattern of the writing wheel in the eyes was turned over, and with the help of the power of the writing wheel, Chin Luo glued the coffee on the wooden table and began to depict the appearance of the Guardian family's family crest. Of course, Chin Luo depicted a total of 5, and only one of them was true. Do you know what this is? If you really investigate this family, at least know their family emblem. Of course, the clan emblem of the Guardian family. Miss Nai pointed to the 4th pattern after looking at it for a while. Congratulations, Miss Nai, I can tell you my identity, but you have to keep it a secret. After finishing speaking, Chin Luo extended his hand to him after seeing Miss Kanai nodding. Introduce myself again. My name is Chin Luo, a man who is idle and bored and is tracking down the undead fleet. At the same time, Chin Luo pulled out a wanted notice from his arms. Marine had sent it before, but it is probably out of print now. Since Chin Luo agreed to join forces with the world government and Marine to deal with Luyun, Marine has taken him off the shelf. So now Chin Luo doesn't have much of this stuff in his hands. It was taken from Dragon Palace City temporarily after he was about to do something last night. Chapter 546 Make a Deal. To be honest, Chin Luo's heart was very delicate when he was preparing this wanted order. Needing to use a wanted warrant to confirm his identity to others is like tacitly acknowledging that he has been forgotten. Chin Luo's plan was to find out his identity when it was necessary to find a high-level executive who reported to social media or a high-level chamber of commerce that managed South Hill Rough. Unexpectedly, Chin Luo would have to use this in front of a reporter. I know Chin Luo's name, but this gentleman, although you and Chin Luo have some resemblance, it's not enough to pretend to be someone else. Chin Luo, who was waiting for the girl's exclamation, almost spit out the coffee in his mouth. Actually, you don't need to pretend to be someone else, you are very strong, I know. The female reporter named Fang Nai made a second supplement to Chin Luo. Cough cough, I forgot to do some makeup myself, you can see how I look now. After calming the cough choked by the coffee, Chin Luo returned to his original appearance as he spoke. If the female reporter Fang Nai didn't mention it, Chin Luo forgot that he used his physical abilities to fine-tune the appearance of his face. Don't ask how to do it. It's nothing special for a good person to order these little tricks. Before the female reporter asked, Chin Luo blocked her question. Back to the face I lost when I just choked. After confirming Chin Luo's identity, the conversation between the two was finally able to continue. Female reporter Fang Nai also took the initiative to reveal a few places related to the Guardian family that existed in South Hill Rough. These places are all places related to the Guardian family that can be locked down through long-term investigations and visits. Like the mansion in the villa area of the Guardian family's northern archipelago, the lighthouses that Chin Luo and the others visited yesterday were among the locations mentioned by Miss Nai. Needless to say, the former mansion is already a semi-open secret, and many forces have visited it. The latter's lighthouse at least shows that Miss Nai is not lying, she has indeed investigated this family for a long time. Also, Miss Nai can recognize the clan emblem of the Guardian family. As long as there is enough time, it is not difficult to find these places. In addition to these two places, according to what Miss Nai said, there are 3 places that Chin Luo and the others still don't know about. They are an antique shop in the city center of South Sharaf, the South Sharaf Library in the Eastern Islands, and the South Blue Star Bridge, the most famous sea crossing bridge in South Sharaf. Of course, Miss Nye only said the direction, not the specific place. Tell me about your requirements, Miss Nye. As long as the information you give is valuable, I can meet your requirements within my ability. Whether it's money or anything else, Chin Luo's current ability can satisfy her, as long as her request is not too exaggerated. Saying that, Chin Luo also took out a bill that is common to most banks in the world, which is similar to a check. According to this bill, 200,000 Bailey can be exchanged from the bank. This is Chin Luo's meeting ceremony, expressing his sincerity. I don't need money. If you can, I hope you will take me with you when you are looking for the guardian family. Although I have investigated many places, I can't get in at all with my strength. Miss Nye pushed the bill back and said. But. Before Chin Luo could finish speaking, Miss Nye interrupted him. I only have one request, not as a reporter, but because I personally have to find a family. I believe that with the strength of Lord Chin Luo, I will not spy on that guardian family. And bring me it's not without merit, but I know a lot of news. Miss Nye looks like she doesn't plan to cooperate unless you agree, which makes Chin Luo dumbfounded. In the end Chin Luo nodded and agreed to her. Okay, I will bring you. As for whether Miss Nye will become a spy, Chin Luo doesn't particularly care. He can send a dried persimmon ghost shark to her side to monitor. The conversation that followed went very smoothly. Miss Nye shared a lot of information she knew about the guardian family, and even recommended books to Chin Luo that were most likely written by members of that family. Among them, the book that was most recommended by Miss Nye is a book called The Geography of South Hill Raf. The title of the book sounds like a geography book, but it is actually a book describing the history of South Hill Raf. Anyway, during the conversation, Miss Nye repeatedly mentioned that many clues were obtained from above. And Chin Luo also took the opportunity to tell some of his and Olivia's speculations and seek verification from Miss Nye. It's a pity that most of the guesses are wrong. Under the explanation of Miss Nye, the local passer of South Hill Raf, many things are local rumors and fairy tales. What the hell, how many things the owner of that travelogue made up in the travelogue. The only regret is about the relationship between the Chamber of Commerce organization that manages South Hill Raf and the guardian family. Miss Nye said that she does not know any information about this. The Management Chamber of Commerce is not something that a small reporter like her can easily investigate. The unreserved two people talked very happily. Chin Luo agreed on the time and place to meet later and left. Bill, your bill, Chin. Mr. Luo, Miss Fong Nye shouted. Haha, let's take it as a greeting. This was Chin Luo's last voice in the store. Nan Sharaf, on the way to the Management Chamber of Commerce headquarters, Chin Luo walked around the alley in that direction. After talking with Miss Kanai, there is still a long time before the evening. Since there is so much time, Chin Luo doesn't plan to go back like this. He plans to go to the Management Chamber of Commerce to check the situation while walking around the city. There were a few little tales behind Chin Luo, who had been following him since he left the cafe, which is why Chin Luo walked into the alley. Otherwise, the guys in the back won't do it either. A few people who followed Chin Luo took a detour to block Chin Luo in the alley and surrounded him. Who are you? Boy, you don't need to know so much. You just need to obediently tell us what you just talked to the female reporter. If you don't cooperate, you will see blood. As for Chin Luo's question, the surrounding people directly ignoring it, everyone took out a gun from their arms and aimed it at Chin Luo. It seemed that Miss Nye didn't hide herself as well as she said. Chapter 547 The Trouble with Naphthalene. Chin Luo secretly shook his head and complained about Miss Nye, but in the eyes of the besiegers, he was rejecting them. There are always idiots who overestimate what they can do. Go back and serve him well. Let's see if he says anything. The rejected besiegers started directly, and without saying a word, the firearms with silencers were installed on Chin Luo's hands and feet. They said they wanted to be captured alive, but they obviously didn't recommend interrupting Chin Luo's hands and feet. It was really simple and rude. The 4 besiegers in black suits skillfully aimed at Chin Luo and the area beside him, and it was not a day or two to see their cooperation. The firearms in their hands sprayed deadly flames, and the bullets covered Chin Luo in all the places he could hide. It was unavoidable for ordinary people to be here. If you don't agree, you shoot. It seems that you won't let me go even if I say it. Chin Luo snapped his fingers. The snap of the fingers was like a signal, and as it was sent, the world stopped at this moment. Whether it was the bullets flying in the air or the 4 men in black who surrounded Chin Luo, they held the guns in their hands and remained motionless. It's not that time stands still. Chin Luo is not going to do this for the sake of the 4 little ones. It's just what's in this area that's standing still. Chin Luo arranged the repulsion by his side, which happened to include Chin Luo and 0974 men in black. The bullet was suspended in the air by the repulsion force, and the 4 men in black were imprisoned together, unable to move, let alone continue to pull the trigger. After arranging a vacuum belt around with repulsion, Chin Luo didn't have to worry about the sound here. Next, it's my turn to ask you. My question is very simple, who sent you? With Chin Luo waving his hands casually, the 4 people under control floated towards Chin Luo. The bullets they encountered were easily turned aside by them. Let's start answering from you. Don't worry, the other 3 people can't hear what each of you said. Chin Luo chose one person at random, just as he said it himself, and set a layer for the other 3 sound insulation layer. And the person who was selected by Chin Luo was a shuttle of bullets directly at Chin Luo when Chin Luo regained his freedom. Maybe this person thought that Chin Luo was some kind of devil fruit person. After being released, he felt that this was the best chance to attack Chin Luo at close range. This man's sneak attack was successful. Chin Luo did not imprison the bullets again, but the more desperate scene was that the bullets hit Chin Luo without causing any damage, and all bounced off and fell to the ground. Then Chin Luo reached out and grabbed the gun in the man's hand, and with a light grip, twisted the gun into a twist. No, you devil, I won't say it. This man was also tough, and he was determined to die after knowing that his resistance was ineffective. Oh, what's the point of this? The few people outside don't know what you said, maybe they all feel that you have explained everything. It's better that you put on an expression of fear and begging for mercy. By the time Chin Luo finished speaking, Chin Luo had already begun to use repulsion to control the man to look what he wanted. The expression of begging for mercy and fear of death, and the constantly moving mouth. No, you can't do this, bastards. Don't say it, don't say it. Chin Luo didn't limit his ability to speak, but it was not much different from wailing. Chin Luo smiled contemptuously, made the man shut his mouth, and asked another person. With the previous foreshadowing, the 3 people in the back really thought that the people in front had already confessed, and for the sake of the opportunity to survive, they sold their power completely. Simple and rude questioning methods, using the dark side and selfishness of people's hearts, but very effective, right? In order to urge them, Chin Luo also used devouring on the 3 people behind. Being swallowed up slowly, taking the flesh and blood from these people bit by bit, it feels like being lingered. The answers of the latter 3 were all the same. They were a local gangster in South Hill Rough, but Chin Luo was very surprised by the people behind the gang. If it hadn't been obtained from these 3 people, Chin Luo would never have thought that this gangster was secretly supported by the newspaper media company. In other words, it is her newspaper that has been monitoring or dealing with Miss Kane. This is really interesting news, isn't it? Especially after the 4 disappeared. Chin Luo naturally would not let these 4 people leave. Since these people have already taken the task of chasing Chin Luo, as long as they disappear or go back to report, they will know that Chin Luo is not an ordinary person. Knowing that Miss Nai has reached an agreement with other people, why don't you know that the newspaper society will not jump over the wall in a hurry? Of course Chin Luo could use illusion to arrange for the 4 of them, but Chin Luo didn't plan to do that. This Miss Fianai really needs to be forced to rely more on Chin Luo's strength. The power of devouring was fully activated, and in less than a second, the 4 men in black disappeared into the air with no bones left. Only Chin Luo appeared in his hand with a red bead. Gui Sha, it's me. I need you to protect someone. Her address is this location. After dealing with the 4 gang members, Chin Luo immediately called Gan Persimmon Gui Sha. In other words, this Miss Nai Nai does know a lot of information related to the Guardian family. The evening, after Chin Luo, Olivia and Mama Sigi all came back, the 3 of them had dinner and exchanged their achievements. It should be, but we each have reservations, just like I didn't tell him about the red hair pirates and the flower shop cafe. Chin Luo said after drinking a sip of soup. The places she mentioned need to be visited sometime. But tomorrow we promised the store manager to help in the store. It doesn't matter, my appointment is the day after tomorrow, and I can't change it again. Chin Luo responded to Olivia's words. But according to what you said, that Miss Nai will be in big trouble soon. Mama Sigi means that Miss Nai may not survive the day after tomorrow. Don't worry, I have already told the ghost shark to go. Chin Luo was answering when the voice of the phone bug rang in the room, and there were not many people who knew that the phone bug was still calling at this time. Is it Mr. Luo? It's me. My friend seems to be in some trouble. When I met her on the way back, she secretly slipped me a note and asked me to give it to you. It was the waitress who called. Okay, I see, can you tell me what's on the note? So I can help your friend. The 3 of Chin Luo looked at each other, and they really said what they said. Chapter 548 Goodbye Female Reporter. Chapter 548 Goodbye Female Reporter. Okay, it's a series of numbers, Mr. Luo. Wait a minute, I'll show it to you. Then came the sound of rummaging through the phone. After waiting for a while, Chin Luo said to the phone bug, Hey, Miss Waiter, are you still there? The worst case is that the waitress is also targeted, so Chin Luo has to go and rescue the waiter. When Chin Luo was about to leave for the waitress's residence, the voice came from the other end of the phone again. I found it, Mr. Luo. The number is ***02. Chin Luo didn't expect this number to be so long. Fortunately, Olivia took advantage of the time when the waiter was looking for something, so she was not caught off guard. After comforting the waitress, Chin Luo promised to unlock the information on the note immediately. Have you figured out what it is? Encrypted cipher, Morse code or something? Looking at the dense numbers on the paper, Chin Luo felt that he suddenly had a strange disease that made him dizzy when he saw the numbers. None of them. I've tried them all. I guess it's something simpler. Has this Miss Nai ever recommended anything to you? Maps, books, atlas, newspapers, etc. Olivia, who took off her eyes, said that she already roughly knew how to unlock the code, and now she lacked the key. Book, wait, that should be the one. South Hill Raft Geographical Map. This book is highly recommended by Miss Nai. Chin Luo got a special copy when he came back. And as Olivia guessed, the series of numbers refers to certain words on the books. Outlining these numbers horizontally and vertically, Olivia just divides these numbers into nuogan, each with 7 numbers. The first 3 are page numbers, the middle 2 represent the number of lines, and the last 2 represent the number of the line. Just like 1,560,316, it refers to the 16 characters on the third line of page 156, report. After finding out all the words, the secret behind the numbers is very obvious. It is the words, the newspaper office wants to save me quickly. This Miss Fong Nai is very clear about her situation. I thought she didn't know that the newspaper had been planning to attack him. After seeing the content, Chin Luo was even more puzzled. This Miss Nai knew that the newspaper office might attack her at any time. Her heart was so big that she dared to go to work every day. Unable to figure this out, Chin Luo still dialed the phone number of the dried persimmon ghost shark. Ghost shark, where are you now? Have you found Miss Nai? Yes, I'm right next to Miss Chong Nai's house. My lord, Miss Chong Nai's house seems to be surrounded by a group of people. Do you need me to deal with them quietly? Judging from the information fed back by the dried persimmon ghost shark, the newspaper office has not yet started but surrounded the house of naphthalene. Wouldn't he be waiting for the rescuers to come and catch them all? Chin Luo felt that this possibility could not be ruled out. Not for the time being, but if these people do it, you must save Miss Nai Nai as soon as possible. Understood. By the way, did anyone enter Miss Nai's house during this time? No. I see, you continue to monitor. Hanging up the phone bug, and after confirming the situation with the dried persimmon ghost shark, Chin Luo doesn't have to worry about Miss Nai's safety. Chin Luo didn't think that with the strength of the ghost shark, who would be able to kill Miss Nai Nai from the hand of the ghost shark in South Hill Rough. Even if the big news, Morgans personally took action. You are still free to continue eating, don't you mind that Miss Nai? Seeing Chin Luo returning to the dining table, Momoshiki looked at someone helplessly. Poor girl Nai Nai, she is completely inhuman. There are ghost sharks watching, nothing can go wrong, now it's still the most important thing to eat. I have to say that the special food here at Nansharaf is still very delicious, and Chin Luo likes it very much. When Chin Luo arrived at the door of Miss Kanai's house, there was a faint smell of blood wafting from the street, which could not be detected if you didn't smell it carefully. Dong dong dong. Can Miss Fong Nai open the door? Who are you, Chin Luo? Miss Nai Nai looked at the situation outside through the cat's eyes on the door and asked and answered herself. Because of the slight change in Chin Luo's appearance, she did not recognize it directly. After bringing Chin Luo into the room, Miss Nai looked around like a thief, and then quickly closed the door. The actions of the female reporter Fong Nai completely amused Chin Luo. With her level of anti-investigation ability, all the assassins she could guard against need to be rebuilt. You can count, Mr. Chin Luo, when I reported back to the agency today, the people above asked me who I had communicated with and what I had communicated with. Although I was fooled for the time being, I feel that they will take action soon. Miss Nai Nai told Chin Luo what happened to her. Miss Nai, others are not taking action, but have already taken action. Ghost shark. Chin Luo suddenly shouted. With a boom, a dried persimmon ghost shark in civilian clothes suddenly appeared in the room. Sir. Ah. At the same time, Miss Nai's scream was made, and she was taken aback. Miss Fong Nai may not know that the people from the newspaper office have already started, and it was my companion who helped you solve them. Chin Luo explained the situation to the surprised Miss Fong Nai. Chin Luo even told her directly that the people who were going to attack her were all from the gangs supported by the newspaper, and there were also a few people specially dispatched from the headquarters of the newspaper. There are still things on the bodies of these people that can prove their identities. If Miss Nai needs it, Chin Luo can also take her to see it. After rejecting Chin Luo's proposal, Miss Nai chose to trust Chin Luo. Does Miss Nai know that she is being watched? I mean before today. Fang Nai nodded, indicating that he was aware of it. Then I'm surprised, does Miss Nai know that her secret investigation into the Guardian family has been exposed? Chin Luo asked Miss Kanai, but what he wanted to know most at this time was how much information the newspaper office had about the Guardian family. I don't think I was exposed. In fact, this feeling of being watched began after the undead fleet left, and it wasn't just me. At that time, all the reporters who witnessed the Guardian family's confrontation with the undead fleet received it from the back. Surveillance, I am not the only one. Quote. Even in the impression of Miss Kanai, a few have not come to work for several days. Now think that they are not on a business trip, but the newspaper office has dealt with them. Chapter 549 Muddy Water. And there is only one reason why the newspaper office took action against Miss Kanai or the previous few people, that is, there are other forces or individuals who are contacting them. Unfamiliar faces come to contact these reporters at such a moment, and I know with my knees that it is for the Guardian family. However, the newspaper office has the idea of monopolizing the information of the Guardian family. Miss Nai Nai said some of her inferences. Are you saying that the battle between the Guardian family and the undead fleet was not accidental that day, but someone notified you and arranged it specially? To be honest, Chin Luo thought it was the female reporter in front of him who contributed to everything, but the real situation doesn't seem to be the case. Yes, that is the Lost Sea area. There is no specific pointing tool. The ship we are sitting on can't reach the center at all, and we can just see the battle between the Guardian family and the Undead fleet through the fog. Both the Undead fleet and the Guardian family found it. Fang Nai said. Then how did you get the pointing tool, and that time? If I remember correctly, because of the approaching of the Undead fleet, the entire South Sharaf people had almost run away. You must know that these are reporters. They can run much faster than ordinary people. We moved the office of the newspaper to the ship, and a few days before the accident, a messenger bird appeared on our ship with an envelope. In the envelope, except for one that told us that there would be big news in Lost Seas. In addition to the message, a pointing tool was also given. Quote. Miss Nai said while recalling. Does anyone know the location of your newspaper ship? This is a very important question. No, our ship sailed casually after leaving South Hill Rough, and we didn't even know where we were. Judging from Miss Nai's answer, it is very likely that the people who sent the things were the people on the ship, and the most suspects were undoubtedly these reporters. Maybe some of them found something, and then secretly incited the fleet to go there. Miss Nai also confirmed that Chin Luo thought the same as their guess. The newspaper is trying to catch this person. As long as this person has other plans, he will definitely make another move. So the newspaper will send people to monitor all the reporters and intercept those they come into contact with. Since this person is not you, it means that among the other reporters in the newspaper, there is someone who knows more about the Guardian family than you. The news that followed made Chin Luo a little confused, and what was even more painful was that after the disappearance of these people during the day and night, the newspaper might think that Miss Nai was that person. It's not a funny thing to become someone else's shield. Because Miss Nai's current situation is quite bad, after obtaining her consent, Chin Luo asked her to simply pack her luggage and live in Chin Luo's current small courtyard villa. Sometime after Chin Luo left, big news, Morgans hurried to Miss Nai's house with the people brought by the newspaper headquarters. But the building was already empty. I've issued a warrant for the black market. This Miss Nai, I want to catch her alive. Big news, Morgans was in a very bad mood. He even sent a competent subordinate, but he died without leaving any information. Who the hell came to South Hill Rough? Big news, Morgan's eyes were full of haze. Not to mention the newspaper office. After understanding her current situation, Miss Nai's attitude is still much more positive than before. In front of the scholar, Vio, who is Olivia's incarnation, she is really ready to answer any questions. Damn it, Chin Luo didn't know how to describe his mood at this time. He even was fed dog food by his own woman. Also traveling around, Chin Luo's disguised businessman has no prestige in front of scholars. Knowing that Chin Luo was in disguise, Miss Nai was instantly attracted to Vio, just like the manager of the flower shop cafe. During the day, after applying makeup to Miss Nai, Olivia took her and Mamasagi to help in the flower shop cafe. Vio, in a housekeeper's tuxedo, as well as Mamasagi and Miss Nai in maid outfits, brought more customers to the store. As for Chin Luo, he was just a bonus waiter, no one would care. During this period, Muasagi and Mamasagi took turns offering treasures to Vio, wiping sweat, feeding water and other actions constantly. Let's not talk about the delicate eyes in Mamasagi and Olivia's eyes no matter how you look at them. It was in response to Chin Luo. Suddenly, an explosion sounded, breaking the order and prosperity of the bridge market, and instantly the crowded bridge market became a mess. Nan Sharaf, who had just experienced the robbery of the undead fleet, is still looking like a bird in shock. I'll check the situation, you protect yourself. Chin Luo ordered and quickly ran out of the store. With so many people around, Superman didn't dare to wear red underwear in public. Chin Luo didn't want to expose himself in front of the store manager. The explosion occurred on the third bridge north of the Florist's Cafe, and many people moved up through the passages connecting several bridges. And there are not many people like Chin Luo rushing there. When Chin Luo arrived, he found that two people were fighting at the place where the explosion occurred. One was Chin Luo's acquaintance, the red-haired Shanks whom he had only seen a few days ago. Another one, Chin Luo doesn't know very well. The man was wearing a grey robe, and his weapon was a rare hook claw. Looking at the material, it looked like the bones of some kind of creature. You lunatic, do you know what you've just done? Shanks had the upper hand, slashing the grey man's body with his armament hockey-covered sword, knocking him to the ground. On the side of Shanks, stumps and broken arms can be seen everywhere. I think they are pedestrians who died in the explosion 4.6 just now. It's all in order to welcome the Lady of Death, the messenger of the church is coming, and the new rule will be ushered in South Hill Raf. The grey-robed man shouted frantically. At this time, there were still many tourists who didn't have time to retreat. His shouting succeeded in walking away from panic. Damn, even those people from the Church of Doomsday have come to participate. The situation of Nan Sharaf is really getting more and more complicated, and Chin Luo's heart is crazy. The one who was brought down by Shanks should only be the forerunner of the Church of Doomsday. After being knocked down and having no hope of escaping, he chose to commit suicide. Black blood flowed out of his mouth, apparently biting through the poison hidden in his mouth. Shanks saw that the grey-robed man had committed suicide and could not ask anything else, so he mixed into the crowd and left before the law enforcement officers of the city management organization arrived. Chapter 550 Early Trace. Recently, after the undead fleet ravaged the world, various doomsday sects have sprung up like mushrooms. Most of these sects worship the undead or simply the Lady of Death behind the undead fleet. Chin Luo was somewhat curious about the members of the Church of Doomsday who had just committed suicide. It was the first time he had seen a real person since he arrived in South Blue. It is really crazy to be linked with religion, especially cults. When the law enforcement officers of South Hill Raf were about to take the cultist's body away, Chin Luo secretly marked the body. In this way, the managers of South Hill Raf find information related to this sect, and Chin Luo can also share a thing or two. After such a farce, there are many fewer tourists in the bridge market. The most obvious thing is that when Chin Luo returned to the flower shop cafe, the cafe that was full before could not see a single customer at this time. I just went out for a while, why are there no guests? I heard that there was an explosion nearby, and all the guests ran away. 11 Didn't you go out to see? What happened? Momosugi asked boredly lying on the bar. The specifics are not clear. When I went, the tragedy had already happened. It seemed that it was done by a doomsday believer who believed in the Lady of Death. Chin Luo said everything he knew, except for the red-haired Shanks. There was nothing else to hide. The clerks in the flower shop cafe are all sighing and feel sorry for the innocent people. The manager's expression is the same as the others, and he can't see anything. For the whole day after that, there were fewer and fewer tourists in Bridge Market due to events in the morning. By 5 p.m., the flow of people in Bridge Market was almost the same as when it was closed at night. Many shops simply closed early, as did flower shop cafes. But the situation of no customers is not all bad, at least because of the lack of customers. Olivia and the manager communicate more. By the time she got off work, Olivia had successfully filled the store manager's favorability. Chin Luo, on the other hand, was invited by the store manager to be a guest at her house. Of course, he just did it by the way. The real invitee was Vio. The owner's home is an old house with a long history. Since the appearance of South Hill Raf, the house and this flower shop and cafe have been passed down in the owner's family. It would be nice to be invited to her home by the target to dig further for clues. But what is he, the younger brother or the housekeeper? Chin Luo complained in his heart. Why did the store manager choose to invite us to her house after 8 days? After 8 days, Momosugi couldn't figure out why the store manager didn't invite them over on the same day. Navigation Festival, Olivia and Miss Nai said in unison. In Chin Luo and Momosugi's puzzled eyes, Olivia felt that it would be better to let Miss Nai, a local, explain. You didn't come here to play, so you don't know. In fact, the nautical festival in South Hill Raf is quite famous in South Blue. South Hill Raf is a trading city developed due to navigation and trade. South Blue has the title of a city of trade and a city on the water. Quote. But in the earliest days, South Hill Rough was just a small island inhabited by fishermen. In order to survive better, the fishermen began to run trade. They decided to go to sea after collective sacrifice to the sea god one day. I don't know if they received the sea god the blessing of the year. All the merchant ships returned with their rewards. This day is also customary to become the navigation festival of South Hill Rough. With the explanation of the naphthalene, several people quickly understood the significance of the nautical festival to Mrs. Nan Shira. On that day, most shops in the city would choose to close their doors and participate in the festival. I don't know if Chin Luo thought too much, but he felt that this sailing festival would not be peaceful. According to the plan, the next day, Olivia and Momoshiki temporarily put down the part-time job task in the flower shop cafe, and accompanied Chin Luo and Miss Nai Nai to 3 other places that might be the remains of the Guardian family. The first is an antique shop in the city center of South Hill Rough. With the big money, Chin Luo, Miss Nai Nai was finally able to enter the shop to find out. As soon as he entered the antique shop, Chin Luo saw a well-maintained telescope, which was why Miss Nai Nai determined that the antique shop was related to the Guardian family. At the bottom of the telescope mirror, Chin Luo saw the very hidden family emblem of the Guardian family, which was enough to show that this telescope was probably the one that was erected on the lighthouse. In addition to the telescope, some ancient wooden furniture and armor sculptures bear the insignia of the Guardian family. What surprised Chin Luo the most was that in the antique shop, Chin Luo even saw the wooden box holding the seal rune. But after some research, Chin Luo was disappointed to announce that this was just a fake with a very similar appearance. The owner of the store enthusiastically introduced the products to Chin Luo and the others. According to his introduction, this was a genuine antique furniture that was sold to his ancestors by a once very wealthy family after their downfall. The boss is not telling lies. Chin Luo and Sharanyan quietly set up the illusion after confirming that the boss's words are true, and he also confirmed that the boss is not a descendant of the Guardian family. This is also not right. Some time ago, the Guardian family was still fighting against the 933 undead fleet in the Lost Sea. Where did it go? With doubts, Chin Luo and others continued to go to another place, the South Hill Raff Library in the Eastern Islands. Said to be a library, in fact, the South Hill Raff Library is not a single building, but a group of buildings. The Eastern Island group where the South Hill Raff Library is located is used as a book because each island is close to each other, but each island is very small, and it is not suitable for building a residential or commercial area. Museum address. At present, there are a total of 16 buildings in the library of this island group. The big one has 5 floors and can accommodate thousands of people reading at the same time. The small one is not even as big as a flower shop and coffee shop. These buildings are connected by bridges. The place that Miss Nai said had the Guardian family crest happened to be the small library, a 2-story log cabin. There are 2 wooden Fukuro statues at the door of the wooden house. This time, Chin Luo found the symbol of the Guardian family in Fukuro's eyes. Easily dodging the patrolling librarian, Chin Luo and his party appeared in the wooden house. The wooden house is locked, and it seems that it is not usually open to the public. This is not difficult for Chin Luo at all. With a little pull, the chain is torn off, and the secrets of the cabin are all open to a few people. Chapter 541 Manuscript. It's no different from an ordinary log cabin. Compared to a library, this place is more like someone's small residence. Kettles, stoves, tables and chairs, bookshelves, beds, everything that a person needs in life can be seen here. The place on the 2nd floor is where the former owner of the wooden house used to make a study. Compared with these, the real eye-catching is other. When Chin Luo and others came in, they only had one feeling, that was chaos. Footprints were everywhere on the dusty ground, and homes and bookshelves had been turned over. Not a single book on the shelf was missing, but the traces and the 1 or 2 pieces of manuscript paper that fell on the ground indicated that things were once present here. Someone came here before Chin Luo and the others came. And the time should be in the last month or so. This is what Olivia said after touching the dust on the bookshelf where the books used to be. The newly accumulated dust was not much, and Olivia felt that her guesses were inseparable from the degree of airtightness of the cabin. Is this trip going to come back in vain? No, Chinluo discovered something interesting through his eyes. Wait, I found something. As Chinluo said, Olivia and Momoshiki showed expectant glances, and Nai, she was frightened by Chinluo's cataract eye. Mr. Chinluo, what's wrong with your eyes? Is there a basement here? Miss Nai and Momoshiki asked separately. This is one of my abilities, and Miss Nai doesn't need to worry. After answering Miss Nai, Chinluo shrugged at Momoshiki and said no. The small island where the wooden house is located can barely accommodate a wooden house, and if you dig down the basement, I am afraid that seawater will be dug directly. Chinluo didn't give a shit, walked under the suspended wooden stairs, tapped lightly, a hidden grid was revealed under one of the stairs, and a manuscript was stored in it. There must be something important that could be so hidden by the previous owner of the cabin. After getting the manuscript, Chinluo and the others quickly left, and if he stayed any longer, the administrator of the library would come over. Chinluo didn't want to take the blame for the previous person. The manuscript was handed over to Naphthaline and Olivia to study together. For this decision, Ms. Nai agreed with both hands, and she still didn't know that Olivia was a woman. Therefore, being able to study the things of the guardian family and stay with Vio is simply heaven for Nai. Alas, I can only hope that Miss Nai will not be too sad after knowing the truth. Chinluo thought expectantly. The last cross-sea bridge, the South Blue Star Bridge, was taken by Chinluo alone, and even Miss Nai, who had always said that she would participate in the search for the guardian family, refused. The reason is very simple. The clues on this bridge are almost everywhere, but there is no way to find them. The South Blue Star Bridge connects the south and east sides of South Hill Rough. By laying foundations on a few small islands, the largest sea crossing bridge on South Blue was built, which was very incredible at the time. And on every piece of steel on the bridge, Chinluo saw the family emblem of the guardian family. This is simply bullshit. When the family emblem of the guardian family is worthless and can be printed everywhere. Those who don't know what to do probably take this as the trademark of that steel factory. That day, Chinluo swept the bridge from beginning to end with his white eyes. It wasn't until Chinluo felt that he was going blind that he realized that there were no hidden spaces or clues at all. On some small islands, Chinluo found some secret passages. However, these secret passages lead to some refuges, and at this time there is nothing but dust in the refuges. When Chinluo went back, Olivia was still studying the manuscript with Miss Nai. The first few pages of the manuscript are in modern text, easily understandable. The owner of the manuscript is undoubtedly a member of the guardian family. In these pages, he reveals his helplessness for the heavy shackles his family bears. But from the back onwards, the words are converted into the words of thousands of years ago. According to the information Olivia has researched, the back of this manuscript records the development history of the Guardian family in the early years of South Hill Rough and the research on the Guardian. However, this person does not seem to be proficient in using words from thousands of years ago, which makes it much more difficult to decipher this manuscript. The time of a week is actually very fast, basically said that it has passed. During this period of time, Chinluo and the others, apart from occasionally going to the flower shop and coffee shop to continue to brush their faces, spent the rest of the time basically staying in the place where they lived and continuing to study the manuscript. During the period, Chinluo also sent the rubbing of the manuscript back to Sky Island, and asked the scholars from the O'Hara Scholar Group to help decipher the contents. Chinluo and others squatting at home with peace of mind does not mean that it is peaceful outside. On the contrary, as the nautical festival approached, the chaos in South Hill Rough grew. Except that some countries and forces came to join in the fun in the name of congratulations. The most important thing is that the attacks and infiltration of the Doomsday Sect have become more frequent. The purpose of the Doomsday Sect is basically clear. They are creating panic and forcing the descendants of the Guardian family to come out. Whether it is to capture the Guardian family members to sacrifice to Lady Death, or to obtain the Guardian family's secret techniques, it is a very good choice for them. And there are probably more than one sect that came to South Hill Rough. Qin Luo encountered two groups when he was looking for the remains of the Guardian family. A group of relatively mild people was just in a meeting, and Qin Luo pretended not to see it. There was also a group of Qin Luo who were using the lives of innocent people to sacrifice bloody sacrifices. Qin Luo, who was in a bad mood, simply sacrificed all these cultists and sent them to see their master. And Qin Luo finally made some progress in the work of the South Hill Raft Management Organization, and he met an official of the Chamber of Commerce. It is said that he is the heir of a big family in the management organization of the Chamber of Commerce, or the kind of person who fails to pursue his dream of becoming a writer, but is caught back to inherit hundreds of millions of properties. People are really different. It was probably very similar to Qin Luo's encounter. After chatting once, the heir fell in love with Qin Luo at first sight. "Drake, this is the good deal you said." Qin Luo looked helplessly at the old bookstore in front of him. "Since the last time I told Derek that he wanted to be a self-made traveling businessman, this familiar friend took the initiative to help Qin Luo find the goods. However, there is no reliable way at all. Derek introduced him to fake and deceptive jewelry, and to sell clothes for hidden slave trade. This time, Derek's antiques are simply a bookstore. Alas, this child is a little ill-hearted, but what's the matter with this bloody smell?" Chapter 552 Knock out your attacker. The smell of blood is very light, and most people may not notice it, but Qin Luo is different. Since gaining the ability to reach full physical level, various parts of Qin Luo's body have been strengthened, as have the sense organs. This should be the invisible benefit of full physical level. Not only can he smell the blood, Qin Luo can also judge that the source of the blood is the old bookstore in front of him. So the question is, what caused the bloodshed to this old bookstore that didn't want to enter after a glance? Doubt was entangled in Qin Luo's heart, but he didn't express it at all on his surface. Since Derek is right in front of him, Qin Luo can't show his sharpness more than a son of a businessman. "Drake, if you don't give me an explanation, I will never waste time with you again." The implication is to let Derek tell the peculiarities of this bookstore, and the attack on the bookstore will certainly. These peculiarities are inseparable. "I definitely didn't deceive you this time. This is my secret from the bottom of the box. When I was a writer before, I happened to come across this bookstore on the way to find inspiration. There are many books in this bookstore that I have never heard of. Antique books. I think you can sell these books as antiques." 370 With longing on his face, depending on the situation, he remembered the days when he was a writer. "I shouldn't have expected anything from this person long ago." Qin Luo covered his face with one hand, full of helplessness. "This Derek is a complete nerd. If he lives in the TV series of Gongdo Jido, Qin Luo can guarantee that he is simply a Zanwu scum who can't survive an episode. Not all old antiquities are valuable. Compared with those famous paintings, the price of ancient books is sky-high and underground." I don't know what Derek was thinking. After he finished his memories, he didn't wait for Qin Luo to react, and directly pulled him inside. "Do you two need anything?" Before Derek was about to enter the bookstore, a figure blocked them out. "What can I do in the bookstore? Of course, I'm buying books, so get out of the way." Derek pushed the person in front of him and wanted to go in, but it was a ghost if his thin arms and legs could be pushed. "Sorry, the bookstore is being renovated, so it is temporarily closed." After several pushes to no avail, Derek said angrily, "Who are you? You said it's not open for business." "Manager, I'm Derek. Is this your new clerk?" "Not even me. No." At the end, Derek started shouting into the bookstore. Derek's behavior successfully attracted the attention of countless people on the side. Qin Luo watched the play quietly, until Derek started yelling. Qin Luo knew it was going to break down. This Derek really did a good job. After learning that Derek was a regular customer and where he was yelling, the man pretending to be a clerk got out of the way. One is that he doesn't want to be exposed and attract too many people's attention, and the other is that he has already killed Chin Luo and Derek. The moment Derek and Chin Luo entered the bookstore, the man pretending to be a clerk drew a hidden sword from his cuff and pointed it at Chin Luo and Derek's throats. As for the result, a scream of, "Ah!" and the sound of someone hitting a wall, that's the result. Chin Luo just took a step back and grabbed Derek, who was walking forward. So the killer who pretended to be a clerk lost his goal and performed a performance in front of Chin Luo and the two of them. To blame, I can only blame this person for being too greedy. In order to slash Chin Luo and Derek's throats at the same time without giving the other person a chance to react, the whole person rushed out at a very fast speed. Wait for the target to miss before trying to recover the speed. I'm sorry, Chin Luo will tell him what it means to touch porcelain, just stumbling forward with his toes a little to easily create a trapeze. The killer turned his face to the wall, knocked unconscious, and dropped the hidden sword in his hand to the ground. Derek's shouting alarmed everyone around him, and the killer's accomplices and Derek's bodyguards all heard the sound. The killers who also wanted to save their accomplices were repelled by the bodyguards from Drake. After dropping a few bodies, the killers barely escaped. Thanks to being the son of the manager of the Chamber of Commerce, these bodyguards of Derek also took into account their identities as law enforcement officers. They quickly searched the entire bookstore and found the corpses of the bookstore manager and his clerk on the second floor. Judging from the situation of the corpse, the guy has been dead for a few days, and the store manager just stopped killing him. The sharp-eyed Chin Luo saw that among the evidence collected by Derek's bodyguards was a blood-stained page, and the words on it happened to be words from 1,000 years ago. The purpose of the killer is self-evident. Derek, who had survived the disaster, felt that nowhere was safe. He was surrounded by bodyguards and returned to his mansion, together with Chin Luo. Afterwards, Derek thanked Chin Luo for having dinner at his house. During this period, Derek's father, who is now one of the senior executives of the South Hill RAF Management Chamber of Commerce, also told Chin Luo, "Thanks. Have you finished chatting with your father?" Before dinner, Chin Luo was taken by the housekeeper to visit the mansion alone, while Derek and his father were talking in the study. The content of the conversation was naturally the group who attacked the bookstore. Yeah, Derek was a little disinterested. The identity of that group hasn't been investigated yet. Chin Luo asked deliberately. Even though Derek and his father had a secret conversation in the study, Chin Luo's eavesdropping couldn't be stopped at all. The reason why Derek was upset was not that the identities of these people had not been identified, but on the contrary, it was because he had already figured out who the group of people was, but there was nothing he could do about them. This group of people was sent by the newspaper, and even if the Chamber of Commerce would announce the results, the newspaper in control of the media would slander it. For the sake of the Guardian family, the Chamber of Commerce has already fought with the newspapers several times. At present, the three strongest forces in South Hill RAF are the Chamber of Commerce, the newspaper office, and the Gang of Doomsday sect. Probably out of apology for concealing something from Chin Luo just now, Derek told Chin Luo about everything Chin Luo asked about later. Chin Luo also figured out one thing. The Guardian family was once a member of the high-level Chamber of Commerce, but for some reason, it quit hundreds of years ago. The Chamber of Commerce's attitude towards the Guardian family is now more subtle, but because the high-level families of the Chamber of Commerce have all received the favor of the Guardian family, they still stand in the position of protecting the Guardian family. In addition, Chin Luo also obtained an additional piece of information. The high priests of the annual nautical festival are members of the Guardian family. Chapter 553 The Eve of the Festival. Since the advent of the nautical festival, the priests of the festival have always been held by the Guardian family. On the day of the festival, family members dressed in sacrificial robes will depart from the old house in the villa area. As far as we know, the old house has obviously been abandoned, and it remains to be seen whether the remaining family members will appear. But anyway, there are still some opportunities, aren't they, if this festival is really important to the members of this family. This is not a secret, it can be found with a little time. The Guardian family was not isolated from the world before, but it was very low-key and mysterious. In the eyes of outsiders, they were like a family that had run temples for generations. It's no wonder that a large number of forces gathered on the eve of the festival like sharks smelling blood. Qin Luo sneered at this kind of thinking. It is true that the so-called ordinary people are innocent and guilty, and the Guardian family has a special ability to restrain the undead fleet. Before something goes wrong, the Guardian family may be able to block the prying eyes of so many forces. But now, to put it nasty, this family is completely meat on the chopping board, and it is too late to hide, so how can it take the initiative to appear? Most of these forces with this idea will be disappointed. This is what the Chamber of Commerce means, so they have even prepared a spare priest. After this, the clues on the Chamber of Commerce's side were also cut off. When Qin Luo returned to his yard, it was already night. Before entering the door, Qin Luo found that there were several more people in the small yard he rented. Almost all of the red-haired pirates were sitting or lying on the ground with injuries, except for the one who had been on the boat, including Shanks. And Qin Luo's own bed was occupied by 2 children at the moment. Can anyone tell me what happened? Qin Luo's sudden appearance scared everyone out of their weapons. Qin Luo dodged 1 shot in succession, and after 2 slashes, everyone realized that it was Qin Luo who came. Qin Luo is very innocent, and he will be cut down no matter how he goes home. Lord Qin Luo, I'm going to trouble you again this time. Severely injured and unable to move on the ground, Shanks said to Qin Luo. And Qin Luo also took this opportunity to learn from the Red Hair that the Red Hair pirates were first besieged by people from the Doomsday sect, and then they were attacked by the newspaper. In the end, the red-haired pirates managed to break through with the help of Gui Deng Shuiyu and dried persimmon ghost shark and hid in Qin Luo's small yard. Why is it a newspaper again? Can a journalist be active to such an extent? Supporting gangsters, raising killers in captivity, inciting doomsday sects to besiege the red-haired pirates and then taking advantage of them, Qin Luo felt that everything he had encountered recently was inseparable from the newspaper. You say that a person who started writing is now using fists, swords and bullets to solve problems. Is this a good word? Why did the newspaper attack you? For the 2 children. Sure enough, I can't hide anything from Lord Qin Luo. Facing Qin Luo's question, Shanks said with a wry smile. No, I just know that you are hiding 2 children, I don't know the rest. Saying that, a red bead appeared in Qin Luo's hand, which was the bead condensed after using the phagocytosis ability. One after another, red rays of light were sprinkled from the beads to the 5 members of the red-haired pirates. This red bead is the condensate of life force, and Qin Luo referred to what was condensed from the mutated fruit of life. It will only be formed after the enemy's fleshly body needs to be swallowed up. The energy inside the beads can be used to heal wounds. The only disadvantage is that the formation and consumption are out of proportion. The beads that Qin Luo devoured after devouring a lot of gang members and a bunch of cultists, after a little treatment of the red-haired pirates, they were more than half smaller. Relying on this to save people is mostly useless. You should know that these 2 children belong to that family. After seeing Qin Luo nod, Shanks continued. I met a father of 2 on my way to find a crew, who for some reason eloped with his wife. When the undead fleet showed up in South Blue, this friend of mine chose to travel with the family. The mission returns to the clan to fight the undead fleet together. Quote. We couldn't persuade him, and he didn't let us participate in it, but he entrusted us with his 2 children, and asked us to send them to the holy land of their clan. Ashamed to say, we learned from that friend. Got the token and map, but couldn't solve the puzzle above. What map is this, and it still needs to be decrypted. Qin Luo just wanted to say show him the map when Olivia walked downstairs. Don't worry, I have solved the puzzle. It should be the map that Olivia was holding in her hands, she explained while looking at the map and reading the words written on it. On the day of God's birthday, the 1,000-year-old carols dispel the fog in front of us, and the Ark takes away the believers of God. This sentence refers to tomorrow's nautical festival. I checked it, and the last link of the annual nautical festival is to go to sea, and the priest will also board the ship at that time. I can be sure that the fog refers to the lost sea, but was the Ark a ship? This is not even recorded in the manuscript. During this time, Olivia researched the manuscript and learned a lot about the Guardian family, so she quickly solved some puzzles when she got the map from Shanks. Come out. According to the display on the map, going to the holy place of the Guardian family should be inseparable from the Lost Sea, the lighthouse and the nautical festival. In the same way, this also means that Chin Luo did not report the expected sailing festival, but there is really something. Chin Luo timely told the information about the nautical festival obtained from the Chamber of Commerce, and even the dull red-haired pirates showed a sudden realization. Whether we can find the sacred place of the Guardian family, tomorrow's sailing festival will be the key. With the help of Chin Luo's life beads, the 5 members of the red-haired pirates recovered quickly from their injuries. After Chin Luo promised to help them find the holy place of the Guardian family, several members of the red-haired pirates would obey Chin Luo's arrangement. According to the plan, the group of them will still be divided into 2 groups tomorrow. The first batch, the 5 members of the red-haired pirates, together with the ghost lamp Shuiyu and the dried persimmon ghost shark, will be the first to mix into the festival scene. The second batch, Chin Luo, Momosugi, Olivia, and female reporter Nai Nai will take their 2 children to the manager's house in the Flower Shop Cafe first. There are a few more things that Olivia wants to confirm with the store manager. Feeling the upcoming battle tomorrow, after arranging the tasks, the 5 members of the red-haired pirates are gearing up to go. Chapter 554 Family divided in 2. The decorations representing the celebration are hung all over the streets, and fireworks, ribbons and balloons have all chosen the most festive colors and shapes. Preparations for these things started a few days ago, and on the day of the festival, they were finally completed. A large number of closed shops did not affect the lively atmosphere at all, and temporary stall tents replaced the usual shops and became the main force of the festival. There are also a variety of music and performances scattered in South Hill Rough. Artists and performers have long been invited by the Management Chamber of Commerce to come here to celebrate. People traverse the streets and alleys, putting on the best makeup for themselves. For everyone in South Hill Rough, the Nautical Festival is the most important day of the year. Thanks to the enthusiastic residents of South Hill Rough, the 5 members of the red-haired pirates got into the crowd participating in the festival after a little dressing up. It was quite difficult to recognize them. As for Gaidong Shuiyu and dried persimmon Guisha, as ninjas, they don't need to worry about their hiding ability. Chin Luo, Momosugi, Olivia and Miss Nai Nai took their 2 children to the home of the manager of the flower shop and cafe, a villa that is older and nobler than Derek's mansion. Moreover, the fact that the 2 children are descendants of the Guardian family has been exposed, and the doomsday sects and newspapers that know the target are searching for these 2 children. Chin Luo was really a little worried that these 2 children were not brought by his side. It's not just Chin Luo who thinks so. Miss Nai also doesn't want to leave these 2 children. The reason why Miss Nai was looking for the Guardian family, which she had been hiding for a long time, was also revealed last night. The girl of the 2 children looked somewhat similar to Miss Kanai, and only after further questioning did she find out that Miss Kanai turned out to be the aunt of the 2 children. The mother of the 2 children is Miss Kanai's sister who used to depend on each other. However, after the couple eloped, one didn't want the family and the other didn't want the sister. And the abandoned sister just relied on some traces to track down. When Chin Luo and others arrived at the old house of the owner of the flower shop cafe, the manager was still dressing up. The amiable store manager on weekdays is simply priceless after changing into a festive dress. Chin Luo and the others were taken to visit by the servants in the house. When the time was almost up, everyone went back to the center of the nautical festival, the port. Manager, you are actually a descendant of the Guardian family. VO, dressed in a neat suit, that is, Olivia, said behind the manager. The store manager who was putting hair accessories on his head couldn't help but betray her with his uneasy heart. I didn't expect Vio to find out this information so quickly. The store manager said this, apparently tacitly acknowledging that he was a descendant of the Guardian family. Vio, she admires, must have some solid evidence to say such a thing. You broke into the ancestor's hut. The store manager stopped the act of dressing himself up in his hand. Please forgive the store manager who is not in the mood to continue tossing his hair with peace of mind at this time. It is both worry and fear. Since he learned a few days ago that the wooden house at the ancestors' library had been broken into, the store manager was worried that his biggest secret would be revealed. But the person who exposed her happened to be Olivia and her group, whom she could talk to very well recently, and her mood became more subtle, and half of her hairstyle was left there. Half and half. Before we went in, the ancestors' wooden house was searched, but we were fortunate to find the ancestors' manuscript in the hidden compartment. Because all the servants went to accompany Chin Luo and the others, there were only Olivia and the store manager in the room at this time. Olivia stepped forward gently and brushed the manager's long hair in place of the servant. Why, is Vio also seeking the power of the Guardian family? The store manager seemed calm, but in fact her heart was already in her throat. You must know that the identity of the store manager's family is very concealed. Even the big families in the Management Chamber of Commerce think that the store manager's family and the Guardian family are two different existences. The store manager's family has also supported this to be able to remain stable. There is a secret that was involved 1,000 years ago. When the Guardian family of South Blue began to guard the seal of the Undead Fleet, South Hill Rough was only a small island settled by fishermen. At that time, the Guardian family of South Blue split up whether it was for the family or for the faith and mission. One is the store manager family who thinks family is the most important, and the other is the later Guardian family. As the so-called Three Caves of the Cunning Rabbit, it is not without benefits after the separation of the family. At least the two families pretended not to know each other, but they ensured that the family would not be destroyed, and even secretly the two families still communicated with each other. This information and that kind of communication has always been given only to the patriarchs of the two families. Now the store manager happens to be the head of the family. Everything was supposed to be hidden, but Olivia learned everything by studying the manuscript. How could the manager think so? I'm just a scholar. When speaking, Olivia did not choose to use a fake male voice, but her own female voice. Not only that, the store manager saw a surprising scene through the mirror. Vio untied the tied hair, and gently tossed out a head of translucent silver hair. Reintroduction. My name is Olivia, a scholar at O'Hara. In this situation, the best way for the manager to believe her is undoubtedly to tell her secrets to the other party. As Olivia, the secrets are no less than the exposure of the manager's family. As for the original manuscript, after having a copy, Olivia put the manuscript on the store manager's dresser without any hesitation. Can you tell me your goal for 1.1? The purpose, it's very simple, it's just to further study the Undead Fleet, and the store manager should be able to contact the clansmen left on the other side. I have two people here that I want to show you. Having said that, Chin Luo was summoned to take the initiative to release the two children from the Shinwei space. These two are the children of the young patriarch who eloped more than 10 years ago on the other side. With the token in hand, the store manager quickly determined the identities of the two children. I know how to do it, and I will contact the other side immediately. Now every clan member is precious to the family. Not caring about the hair, the store manager opened an extremely concealed safe on the wall of his bedroom, and a black phone bug was placed inside. Chapter 555 Sailing Festival. This black phone bug has a special frequency band, which can effectively prevent others from snooping. This kind of phone worm is accompanied by two, which means that the two phone worms can only connect to each other, which is a very effective means of confidential communication. After waiting for a while, the phone worm remembered the voice of an old lady. Xiaomi Leiwa, why did you suddenly call me? How old is it to be able to call a store manager who is in his 50s as Xiaomi Rua? Mother-in-law, this festival is going to be held as normal. I found a family member who was living abroad. Yes, I have confirmed the token, it is the child of the former young patriarch. After exchanging secrets with each other, the store manager did not avoid suspicion, and directly communicated with Chin Luo and Olivia. While waiting, Chin Luo sent the two children back into the Shenwei space. Until they reach their destination, these two children are not suitable to appear in everyone's field of vision, otherwise it will only add to the trouble. Olivia went directly to the central port area of the Nautical Festival under the leadership of the Store 19 chief. The Nautical Festival is naturally related to navigation, and the end of the festival will end with the departure of many ships. This custom later developed into many ships sailing around the city. Among the sailing fleets, in addition to most of the merchant ships, there are also some cruise ships prepared for tourists who participate in the festival. The South Hill Rough, as a ship named after the city, is naturally the most luxurious and noble existence among these cruise ships. The tourists who can board this cruise ship are either rich or expensive. As one of the ancient families of South Hill Rough, the store manager enjoys the qualification of free boarding all the year round, which is commonly known as the VIP customer. With the store manager's light, she was able to bring 3 of them up. So this matter was decided so happily, Chin Luo became the one who was excluded and did not accept any refutation. The reason is that Chin Luo's ability can smuggle up casually, and there is no need to compete with 3 weak women for such a place. The unfortunate Chin Luo had to watch the 4 go up first, and strolled around the port by himself. Now there are not many people on the South Hill Raft. Chin Luo doesn't want to be caught as soon as he smuggles, he can't lose it. Pick up that person. The parade float carrying the priests had already departed from the original island of South Hill Rough, and Chin Luo could hear the cheers of the crowd from a long distance. When Chin Luo was boredly looking at the parade float, he suddenly felt that someone was approaching him quickly. Quietly, Chin Luo set up an invisible repulsion shield behind him. If the person who comes here doesn't have any ideas, it doesn't matter. If he intends to sneak up on him, he will be stunned by this invisible repulsive shield. What Chin Luo imagined did not happen, and the visitor stopped half a meter behind him. This method, it seems that Your Excellency is the rumored Chin Luo. It can be seen from people's words that since he has the ability to see the repulsion shield, Chin Luo is a little surprised. I thought who it was. Isn't this the big news, Morgans, the president of the World Economic News? Disrespectful. After rolling his eyes, Chin Luo didn't need to turn around to see Morgans, who was wearing a hat and a trench coat behind him. His beak was too obvious. What? Morgans did not expect that he would be seen through at once. It's not so easy to know that he can recognize Chin Luo. If it wasn't for the constant appearance of Mr. Luo, under Chin Luo's pseudonym in various incidents, which aroused his suspicions, he would still not have known that such a person had come from South Hill Rough. Suppressing his inner surprise, Morgans kept his poker face and continued, I don't know why Mr. Chin Luo appeared in South Hill Love this time. Can't you guess my purpose with the ability of the president? Chin Luo easily lifted the ball back. No matter how the Guardian family's secret technique is, the newspaper is bound to win this time, and we don't want to do anything to hurt Mr. Chin Luo. This is a threat, it must be. What do you mean by hurting me? I stand here and don't move, but you hurt and show me. Chin Luo's identity has really been inactive for too long. Even the newspaper office dared to come out and threaten him. You have the courage. Chin Luo turned around and was about to grab Morgans by the collar, but he was empty. After speaking, Morgans disappeared into the crowd instantly without waiting for Chin Luo to react. Slip really fast. Chin Luo scolded secretly. If he didn't feel wrong, Morgans disappeared through the shadow of the person next to him. This is another person Chin Luo saw who was able to move through the shadows after Gecko Moria. Is it a special ability or some kind of demon fruit of the Eudemon's type? Thinking of the opponent's beak, Chin Luo prefers the latter. A little episode did not cause any waves, and the parade float team had arrived at the port. On the altar built, the priests began to worship the sea god. The dance and music with the unique colors of the festival seemed to have a special magic power. After noon, the sea becomes extraordinarily calm, and the slightly larger waves are not seen. Many tourists and citizens who plan to participate in the ceremonies that follow have already boarded the cruise ship, and they will set off together only after the priests have finished their worship ceremonies. Apart from being approached by big news Morgans, there was no accident in the first half of the ceremony. 770 no one from the newspaper, the Doomsday Sect, or any other organization came out to make trouble. Until many ships sailed near the lighthouse, that is, the sea in front of the beacon tower of the lighthouse abandoned by the city. The beacon tower, which had been silent for a long time, suddenly shone an incandescent light on top of him. Many people, who have lived in South Hill Rough all their lives, have never seen such a bright light. This light exists in stories passed down from generation to generation. Like a piece of white light cutting through the sky, tearing through the fog to illuminate the road ahead. Almost everyone thought the light on the bell tower of the lighthouse was broken. The light of the reception has been illuminated, and I should go too. A figure on the lighthouse muttered and then quickly ran down. In such a short time, several ships had left the fleet and went straight to the lighthouse. Come. Once the mutation protrudes, it will come one after another, and the ships of the priests, who have been walking in front of all the fleets, make a sharp turn and head towards the lost sea. If you look closely, the direction the ship is heading is the direction of the light from the lighthouse. What's the matter? How did the priest's ship turn? This is different from the cruise ceremony of the previous festival. Yeah, shall we follow, or as usual? From the moment the lights appeared, all the ships were in a commotion. Chapter 556 Excuse me. On the bridge of the luxury cruise ship South Hill Rough, there were a lot of people crowded in the small room at this time, and the top management of the Chamber of Commerce was basically here. Are we going to follow? Asked the captain of the cruise ship, embarrassed. Although he was the captain, none of the people around him could be offended. Of course I have to chase. No, there are too many tourists on the boat. Do you want to face the siege of all the families? Then you want to watch the Guardian family's clues cut off. For a time, no firm decision could be made on the bridge. The captain slowed down the boat with a wry smile and drove in the middle of the two roads. In this way, no matter what the decision is made later, the captain can catch up as soon as possible. The management of the Chamber of Commerce will still hesitate, and the people of the newspapers and the Church of the Last Days don't need it. Anyone can understand that the accident at the nautical festival is inseparable from the descendants of the Guardian family. With just such a little effort, more than 10 ships have left the fleet and headed for the priest's ships. However, the fastest one was the red-haired pirates. They contacted the companion who was guarding the ship during the festival and mixed in the fleet by disguising the pirate ship as a merchant ship. At the moment when the accident happened, they rushed over as they were already prepared. The mystery on the map will finally be fully revealed to them. The South Hill raft finally followed the usual route, and the people from the Chamber of Commerce sent a few clippers to follow. It seems that this luxury cruise ship will not participate in the party later. Chin Luo waved his hand and said, "Hey, what the hell is that pity expression on your face? Are you the one who wants to take the whole ship on an adventure with you?" Seeing Chin Luo's appearance, Olivia quickly patted him. When the trick was over, Chin Luo said to the store manager, "Store manager, do you want to be with me? Who else wants to come with me?" The store manager refused unexpectedly. Olivia and Miss Nye said to go, but Momosugi even refused. Momosugi's reason was that if all the people invited by the store manager disappeared, the store manager might be suspected, so she simply stayed behind to cover the store manager. What a kind child. It would be better if she didn't have a beauty coupon in her hand to discuss with the manager excitedly which package to choose for beauty later. Who else can tell Chin Luo why this cruise ship still provides free beauty services? Finding a hidden place, Chin Luo sent Olivia and the female reporter Nai Nai into the Shinwei space, and he came to the ship of the red-haired pirates through the ability of the Overlord of the Sea. Speaking of the Overlord of the Sea's ability to move instantaneously with the help of moisture, Chin Luo's use is no longer as cautious as he was at the beginning. It should be that this ability has been used so easily recently that Chin Luo skipped the middle link and appeared directly after selecting the target. As soon as he came out, Chin Luo found that the atmosphere was a bit wrong. All around him were people with hoods and religious robes, and they should be members of a certain doomsday sect according to the situation. Not to mention Chin Luo was frightened. Even these cultists were frightened by the sudden appearance of Chin Luo. "Well, do you know where Shanks is?" What answered Chin Luo was Hessen's muzzle, and all the cultists drew their weapons and aimed at this enemy who didn't know how to get on board. There is nothing wrong with saying enemies. For cultists, there are two types of creatures in the world, their own companions and enemies. Feeling that these cultists might not be particularly friendly, Chin Luo dropped a sentence of, "disturbed," and the ability to activate the Overlord of the Sea again disappeared in place. Strange, isn't it the ship of the red-hair pirates who left the ships behind? Or saying that he made a mistake, Chin Luo was full of doubts and once again selected the ship he thought was the red-haired pirate group. "Shanks, you don't know, I just got on the wrong boat, and the people there are not friendly at all." "Because this time the landing place is the captain's room," Chin Luo said while pushing the gate of opening. Embarrassed, capitalized embarrassment, it was not Shanks, Hawkeye and the others who appeared in front of Chin Luo, but the cultists just now. Yes, that's right, Chin Luo still came to the same boat after teleporting again, and these cultists still kept their weapons. And Chin Luo just seemed to be talking bad about them in front of them, and I don't know that it's too late to explain to them now. It's really fate. Chin Luo waved at the cultists, with an embarrassed and polite smile on the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, this time, the cultists pulled the trigger without hesitation, just to eliminate Chin Luo, the elusive enemy. Although Chin Luo is very sorry for his behavior, since the other party has done it, he has to be courteous, especially since the other party is a cult. Chin Luo didn't know how many such cultists he had killed during this time, and he didn't show mercy at all. Numerous bullets hit Chin Luo's body, ping 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 ping, but they did not cause any other damage except for some damage to the clothes. Immediately, Chin Luo held his right hand forward, and a vortex with devouring power emerged from his palm. The sudden vortex pulled and twisted the space into strips, and then curled up in circles around the center. This devouring force is not aimed at space, nor is it an object, even though it seems that space is extremely distorted but nothing happens. On the contrary, in many cultists, the red substance that can't tell whether it is blood or flesh constantly emerges and flows to the center of devouring. Chin Luo is extracting the life force of the cultists on the whole ship little by little. In terms of attack methods, Chin Luo is more like a cult. Feeling the loss of life force in the body is getting older and weaker. The cultists hurriedly threw away their weapons and wanted to escape. It's a pity that these are all delusions. These people have lost their lives before they can jump overboard, and even their bones and hair have turned to ashes. Recently, Chin Luo has been perfecting the application of phagocytosis ability. From the previous short-distance contact, he can now absorb an area the size of a ship. Compared with gravitational repulsion, swallowing seems even more unreasonable. He bypassed the defense and directly extracted the selected thing, whether it was vitality, the power of devil fruit, or matter. But the shortcomings are also obvious. This kind of devouring is indistinguishable between enemy and me. With Chin Luo's life force at this time, the position of the palm of his right hand is also old because of the devouring power. This is not swallowing at full strength. Chin Luo can't imagine whether swallowing with full power will swallow him up. Chapter 557 Trapped on an Island. Chin Luo has always been very cautious about things he doesn't see about. Put away the ability to swallow, and at the center of swallowing, the red bead that represents vitality has become larger again. I don't know if it is Chin Luo's illusion. This time the bead has become larger than before. Does this mean that his efficiency in devouring vitality has become higher? Stop thinking about these temporarily unanswered questions. Chin Luo began to look for the ships of the red-hair pirates. After Chin Luo left, the ship that lost its crew drifted alone at sea. If anyone passed by at this moment, they would be frightened by the strange situation of the ship. The surface of the hull is covered with a layer of white dust, and on top of it is the weapon clothes that have fallen to the ground. Judging from the appearance of the clothes, it seems that the person wearing it has disappeared out of thin air. After looking around in the form of water illusion, Chin Luo finally found the red-haired pirates among the many ships. Not counting the one-day sect ship that Chin Luo had just destroyed, the ships of the red-haired pirates were not even in the first echelon, barely ranking in the front of the second echelon. What happened? After confirming the decision, Chin Luo was not in a hurry to release Olivia and the others from the Shinwei space. Seeing this posture, there would be a fight later. The female reporter, Miss Nai, and the descendants of the two Guardian clans obviously do not have much fighting power. It is also worried that they will be affected by the battle. Familiar with Chin Luo's elusive ability, Shanks and the others were not too frightened. For Chin Luo's question, Shanks and Hawkeye looked at each other with a helpless smile. In the beginning, Shanks' ship was indeed running ahead of the many ships with the advantage of being well prepared. It was more than 100 meters away from the ship where the priests were. The ships behind were obviously unwilling to be occupied by a force that did not know where they came from. They may not have dared to hit the boat where the priests were, for fear of sinking it. But for redheads, they are not polite at all. Whether it was the newspaper, the Doomsday Sect, or the ships of other forces, they poured out gunfire at the red-haired ship without money. Under the pressure, the red hair had to slow down the ship, especially after entering the Lost Sea, and was even caught up by the following ships a little bit. Lost Sea area is one of the most dangerous sea areas in South Blue. This area is shrouded in fog all year round and visibility is extremely low. And the magnetic field of the Lost Sea is chaotic, just like the Great Route. Without special pointing tools, boats are unable to move a single step here. That's not all. Lost Sea has a saying that the faster you drive, the faster you die. Because there may be reefs at any time in the Lost Sea, if you are not careful, the ship will be destroyed. Before and after the Guardian family became known, countless people tried to explore the Lost Seas. But as a result, not many can come back alive, not to mention the successful exploration. The only case in recent years was when reporters watched the Guardians fight the undead fleet at all times. The current situation is like this: the craziest and largest number of Doomsday Sect ships are in the first echelon, the less afraid of death, the more ahead, like the one Chin Luo encountered before. Not only are they outstanding in terms of speed, but also in the Church of Doomsday to the extent of being unstoppable, so they also successfully met Chin Luo, the God of Death. It doesn't break the law of the Lost Sea. The second echelon is a large collection of some power organizations including the Red Hair Pirates, most of which are one faction per ship. The third echelon hanging far behind was the ship of the Chamber of Commerce that lost the first move, and the two clippers were at the head. Do you feel that something is missing? The newspaper's boats slowly disappeared from everyone's eyes after entering the Lost Sea. Not some stealth or magic, but they chose another route. All ships entering the Lost Sea are now oriented by the incandescent light from the lighthouse that penetrates the fog, going in the direction of the light. During this period, some ships may have changed direction in order to catch up with others or avoid the reefs, but they only changed their course slightly, and they did not say that they wanted the newspaper's fleet to directly deviate from this route. The newspaper's ship dared to do this, in addition to the pointing object that the Guardian family used when they saw the undead fleet in their hands. I am afraid they also mastered a part of the Lost Sea route. The biggest possibility is that the person in the newspaper who has a lot of research on the Guardian family, except for phenolphthalein, has already fallen into the hands of the newspaper. The ship where the priests are on has always kept a distance of more than 100 meters from the ship behind. Under this distance, the shadow of the ship behind can be seen in front of it and will not be lost. But it is impossible to catch up. The ships where the priests are located seem to be very familiar with this sea area. As long as a ship gets a little closer, it can speed up immediately. This is something the ships behind cannot do. At least 3 ships have been tried on this point, and their best outcome is that the ship ran aground. With bad luck, the whole boat is now feeding the fish. The priest's boat stopped on the edge of an island after sailing for half an hour, and lost the island in the center of the sea. Many people speculated whether this was the holy place of the Guardian family. As the fleet behind them approached, the true face of Mount Lu on the island was finally revealed in front of everyone. It seems inappropriate to call it a small island. The whole island is only the size of South Hill Rough Harbor, and it is simply a larger reef. The land in the center of the island is slightly higher, and in the middle is a ruin. From its cracked appearance, it can be vaguely guessed that it was an altar before. If Miss Kanai was present, she would tell Qin Luo that this was also the place where the Guardian family fought against the undead fleet. The appearance of Zheng Jin can no longer be seen, but there are new things on the island. Tombstones, rows of brand new tombstones, should have just been erected recently. No one could be seen on the ship where the priest was, and the people from the Doomsday sect who came first were gradually investigating on the island. Because they couldn't find anyone, these cultists impatiently began to prepare to dig those graves. It's not a good decision to disturb the dead. It's like responding to Qin Luo's thoughts. The incandescent light that had been used as navigation disappeared the moment the tomb was destroyed. Coincidence or trap? Anxiety began to shroud everyone except Qin Luo and his party. Chapter 558 The Ecstasy Scent of White Sakura. Knowing that Qin Luo possesses a certain ability to teleport people, the red-haired Shanks and the others don't need to worry about being trapped in the Lost Sea. In this case, they are barely able to sit still and think about the problem. If all was planned, it is very likely that the priests had already prepared additional ships on this island. They only saw that the priests had parked their boats here, but they could not be sure if the priests had left in other boats. But compared to hiding underground on the island, it is obviously more likely to leave on another boat. Could it be a conspiracy to manage the Chamber of Commerce? Hawkeye offered a different idea. One of the reasons is that the person who is guarding the lighthouse is the person who manages the Chamber of Commerce, and the other is that the Chamber of Commerce ships in the third echelon did not reach the island. No, as soon as Hawkeye's consideration was finished, Beckman rejected it. It is undeniable that the two reasons for Eagle Eye are objective, but it is not so much that the ships of the Chamber of Commerce did not keep up. It is better to say that they were too far behind and did not have time to come to the island. Moreover, the disappearance of the light was at the moment when the people of the Doomsday sect moved on the tombstone, which directly ruled out the possibility that the manager's Chamber of Commerce could remotely control the light. But it can be said that for nearly 1,000 years, the Chamber of Commerce has not studied the Lost Sea area at all, and Beckman does not believe it, so the ships of the Chamber of Commerce are put aside first. Some red-eyed forces also tinkered with those tombstones with the Doomsday sect. They may be disappointed, not to mention the secret passage or the basement, and even the tomb under the tombstone is empty. Don't even look at what kind of enemies the Guardian family is facing. The undead fleet isn't the main focus of the undead. The corpses of those fallen Guardian family members must have been packed and beaten away. Will they still stay and let you go to the ground for safety? Get rid of it. People do not engage in funerals for the dead. These tombstones are just empty graves erected for the deceased by the remnants of the Guardian family. As the tombstones were destroyed one by one, a faint fragrance appeared in the air. Qin Luo seemed to have smelled it somewhere. Qin Luo frowned and thought. The fragments of his memory kept flashing in his mind. Qin Luo, look at this. Olivia spread out the tree in her hand and waved to Qin Luo. Qin Luo, who was roasting meat, heard the call and had to leave the grill that was about to harvest. What new clues have you found? Qin Luo looked down at the book in Olivia's hand and continued. Isn't this a flower? You even have a foot in botany. Qin Luo was really surprised by Olivia's knowledgeable level. Are you inspired to become the rhythm of a humanoid encyclopedia? What, you don't know the introduction on the side of the picture? South Blue White Cherry, which is the kind of flower in the coffee shop. I always felt that Qin Luo's eyes were a little subtle when he looked at her, Olivia said quickly. Oh, isn't that the one the store manager carried on his head? I remember it was for worshipping the dead. But why are you checking this? Ah, It's not to worship the dead, it's to convey the thoughts of relatives. Olivia looked at Chin Luo with a look of defeat. To you. I just wanted to look up the data on this flower to see if there were any more clues. Then what? Chin Luo was obviously planning to piss off Olivia, because it seemed that there was nothing to gain. The end, Olivia almost forced an excuse with a red neck. South Blue White Cherry, a unique flower near the South Hill Rough Islands in the South Blue Sea, can bloom all year round. When in full bloom, the white cherry blossoms show a sacred and pure white color, with a faint fragrance, which is used locally to express the nostalgia for the passing away. The thoughts of relatives. It is said that through a special extraction method, the fragrance that can easily fascinate elephants can be extracted from the flowers of white cherry blossoms. However, this extraction method has been lost for a long time. Quote, I don't see any fragrance that can easily fascinate even an elephant, I doubt. Chin Luo interrupted Olivia's words halfway through. Don't doubt, the craftsmanship is not passed down, you are just reading with the book. Ah, Chin Luo, you bastard, just sleep in the living room tonight. Unexpectedly, what Olivia guessed would come true. Shanks, hold your breath, the aroma in the air is a powerful drug. However, Chin Luo's reminder was a little late. Except for the stronger Shanks, Hawkeye and Beckman, the red-haired other members of the pirate group are already weak at this time, and it looks like they may fall asleep at any time. Chin Luo's reminder was like a slap in the face, and the three Shanks, who had not yet completely lost their consciousness, quickly shook their heads, and then gagged their mouths. As for the others, they fell to the ground with a pop. Of course, this situation is not only happening on Chin Luo's side. Long before the three people of the red-haired pirates fell to the ground, the places in the center of the island near the tombstones had already collapsed, whether it was the Doomsday Sect or others. Some forces. After taking precautions, the effect of this drug will not be so great that no one smells it, especially when Beckman wets a handkerchief with seawater and makes a few simple temporary respirators. 0. The effect of this potion extracted from the white cherry tree seems to be related to human vitality. After a period of time, except for some with the combat power of Rear Admiral or above, there are only some who specialize in close combat. Barely hold on. Come on, Beckman said suddenly. Rustling sound from the coast, and many ships approach the island at a slow speed. Naturally, it will not be the ship organized by the Chamber of Commerce that has never appeared, nor will it be the ship of the newspaper that disappears as soon as it enters the Lost Sea. Those who can arrange such a hand on the small island in the center of the Lost Sea, except for the remaining members of the Guardian family who have been hidden. After fascinating most of the people on the island, is the Guardian family finally willing to show up? Wooden ships slightly smaller than merchant ships landed on the island, led by the priests at the nautical festival. The people in the Chamber of Commerce were also funny, saying that they had prepared backup priest candidates. In the end, these backup candidates were all disguised by Guardian family members. And even the crew of the ships where the priests were at the festival were left behind by the Guardian family. Chin Luo saw several people dressed as sailors. I don't know which of you is Lord Chin Luo. I will follow the arrangement and come to pick up my clan members. The high priest who walked in the front took off the mask on his face and was still awake while facing the island. The person bowed and said. Chapter 559 on the importance of appearance. The high priest looked at the people surrounded by him with a mocking expression. He said clearly, if you don't die, you won't die. It's you who are stupid, and you stumbled into the trap. How can I blame me? Zhang is still old and hot, and the plain words like a shirk match with that expression as a mockery of Max. Without further ado, these people who were still awake rushed towards the high priest in anger. Ha ha, the high priest chuckled, and a group of people dressed in priest costumes emerged from behind him to meet the attacking enemy. This batch of sacrifices was relatively young, with just 81 people. Each of these 81 people formed a strange attack formation for a team. Even if the strength of the individual was a little worse, they were able to use the power of combined attacks to play those who were much stronger than them to applause. From time to time, the trio would engage in some combos that would make their opponents complain. Coupled with the increasing level of drug poisoning in the body, the stamina of the survivors of the Doomsday Sect and other forces was weakened little by little. Their defeat is almost certain. In order to prevent these people from jumping over the wall, the high priest who had been watching the play and a few people who looked like elders entered the arena with their weapons. The weapons of these elders are relatively simple, just a white jade-like stick, and the stick god is engraved with various patterns. The two ends in the middle of the stick are wrapped in layers of charms. Qin Luo could see it very clearly. When the high priest was dancing the long stick, a faint pure white light spread out from the spell, and at the same time, there was a little shimmer on his body, which resonated with the light of the spell. The same is true for several other elder-like people. With their urging, white light spreads from the spell to the whole stick and their bodies. Fighting, the old men turned into gods of war in white armor. The pure white armor outlines ferocious patterns, and the armor on the chest is like a white goshawk trying to break free. Behind the armor, white tail flames rippled into the air, gathering and dispersing from time to time, reminiscent of the wings of a phoenix. Unlike the black armament hockey, these armors made of pure white light do not emit the crisp sound of metal collision when they collide with weapons. Those weapons that hit the pure white armor either smashed the piece of white light directly, or it was like a stone sinking into the sea, and there was no sound. Qin Luo was stunned from the side. Tortoise, this was the first time Qin Luo saw the secret techniques of the Guardian family. No wonder so many people spied on. This shape is much better than armament hockey. No matter which time, space and dimension it is in, the world is all about faces. The Guardian family's secret art looks much more powerful than armament hockey, who immigrated to Africa with a black body. If he can be the emperor of Europe, who would pretend to be an African chief? There is a saying that says, "One white hides 100 ugliness." Sorry, the secret technique of our Guardian family is able to do whatever they want in this aspect. But in fact, according to Qin Luo's analysis, the power and function of the Guardian family's secret technique is actually no different from armament hockey. If armament hockey is the embodiment of personal aptitude and combat power, then this secret technique of the Guardian family is generated by the resonance of the body and the power of the spell. The two powers can't be said to be higher or lower, but they are both used to arm and strengthen themselves. Visually, Qin Luo also prefers this kind of secret technique of the Guardian family, but this kind of secret technique that relies on external force seems to have quite a few drawbacks. In this group of people alone, only the high priest has the strength to be a candidate for admiral, and the rest of the elders are barely able to reach the peak of rear admiral. The younger ones, let alone those who can't even emit white light, are not much better than cannon fodder in real battles. If this is all the existing strength of the Guardian family, it may be difficult to keep the secret technique. After half the battle of the 81-man team and the serious injuries of the two elders, the Guardian family finally solved their opponent with the help of the drug. After the battle, other members of the Guardian family, who had been in a state of onlookers and cheers, began to clean the battlefield. It is nothing more than carrying and treating the wounded, and tying up the enemies who were knocked down and stunned by the drug, so that these people would not wake up and attack. Strange, didn't you mean to pick up a qualified family member? Wake up one of you and ask if you know where Qin Luo is. The high priest put his stick on the ground and said to the younger generation of the family. You are looking for me. After seeing the secrets of the Guardian family, Qin Luo and several others had no doubts about the identities of these people. What? There are still people, everyone is on alert. The sudden voice made the high priest stagger. Qin Luo was speechless. The fog on the island was indeed quite thick, but not so much that he couldn't see Qin Luo and the others. What else could he say? The protection of the seal does not require vision. No, this is a token. Qin Luo threw the token he got from Shanks, a jade pendant with a special pattern, which used to represent the identity of the young patriarch, until someone took it away when he eloped. The high priest took the token thrown by Qin Luo suspiciously, and they naturally had their own verification methods. Similar to the secret technique, as the hand of the high priest and the jade pendant resonated with a faint shimmer, the guardian family who was waiting solemnly put down their defenses. Your Excellency is Lord Qin Luo. I don't know where the two children of my family are now. The high priest glanced at Qin Luo left and right, confirming that there were no so-called children beside him except for the Hawkeyes. Chapter 560 Leave the Sea. This time, the high priest obeyed the arrangement of the ancestors and came to pick up a pair of children with extraordinary aptitude. It is said that they are the children of the young patriarch who eloped a few years ago. For this reason, he personally led the team and brought out all the remaining fighting strength of the family. If he did not receive anyone, the situation would be very difficult. Wait a minute. Not wanting to perform a big change in front of so many people, Qin Luo found an excuse to return to Shanks' ship and released Olivia and other 4 people in the Shenwei space. The two children were still a little confused when they just came out of the Shenwei space. Because they were worried that the two children would be uneasy in the dark environment when they stayed in the Shenwei space, Qin Luo would use illusion to make them fall asleep every time he sent them in. Shanks and the others saw Qin Luo entering the kitchen alone, and when he came out, he changed from 1 person to 5 people. Shanks touched his nose. He had been to the kitchen to find something to eat before. He could confirm that there were no Tibetans in the kitchen, and he didn't know how Qin Luo turned the 4 living people out. After handing over the 2 children to the high priest, Qin Luo thought that it would take a lot of speech to prove the identities of the 2 children, but depending on the situation, he thought too much. Saw the 2 children of 19, the high priest directly squatted down, touched the head of the older boy with his hand, and murmured, "Like, it's so similar, it's just like when An was a child. Exactly the same. An, of course, is the name of the father of the 2 children. Thank you very much, we will take the 2 children away. If there is a chance, the guardian family will naturally thank you." After saying that, the high priest will take the 2 children to the guardian family's boat. Wait, the Hawkeyes stood up and stood in the middle of the high priest and the 2 children. The high priest's outstretched hand was naturally slapped off by Shanks. The children come behind Uncle first, Shanks said to the 2 children, and Nai also ran over to protect the 2 children like chickens. Compared with the clansmen they just met, the 2 children must have more trust in the Shanks gang who have protected them for many days, not to mention that there is a certified aunt, Nai. Several, if you want to ask for benefits, even if the guardian family is in decline, I will give it to you, you can say it directly. Obviously, the high priest regarded Shanks and others as people who spied on the family. HMPH. Being looked down upon by others, Hawkeye gave the high priest a vicious look in a very unhappy way. We don't want to pay, but we promise the father of 2 children, and some high priests must agree before they can give you 2 children. Beckman said to the high priest. Call me the second elder. This priesthood is also temporary. With Beckman's explanation, the suddenly tense atmosphere eased. Afterwards, Shanks and the others told the high priest about their encounter with the father of the 2 children and the task they were entrusted with, together with the request of the father of the children. One is to send the 2 children to the family, and the other is to let the family recognize the identity of the child's mother and bring them into the family together. Of course, if the family is still reluctant to accept the mother of 2 children, the father hopes that Shanks and the others can bring the mother and daughter to a peaceful place to live a peaceful life. After a long silence, Shanks and the others were waiting for the second elder's decision. If they had to, they didn't want to fight with the guardian family. If that's all there is to it, no problem at all. Shanks and Beckman breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing the words of the second elder. The current guardian family is not as good as before. Of course, those hypocrisy and rules have to be changed. But are you sure, the family's situation is not good now? For a woman who has no strength, it is simply jumping into a fire pit. The truth of what the second elder said, for a long time to come, the guardian family will live in hiding. For orphans and widows, such a life is only more difficult than working alone. What do you know, for my sister, my brother-in-law and children are the most important things. As long as my brother-in-law wishes, she can do it. Fang Nai's words shocked the second elder, and it was the first time he noticed this female reporter. Through the face of Janai, the memories that should have been forgotten or recalled little by little, the weak girl who finally had the courage to elope with the young patriarch. If it wasn't for him and the patriarch who blocked it many times, maybe many things would have been different. After that, there was not much to say. Shanks told the two children to go with the clan first. When the rumors of this period of time pass, the Guardian family will contact the Red Hair Pirates and go with them to pick up the child's mother. Of course, this also led to Shanks and the others having to stay in South Blue for a while longer. After all the comatose and stunned people were tied up and thrown onto the boat, the Guardian family began to prepare to leave. Second elder, I want to ask you something. On the way back, Olivia found the second elder of the Guardian family. Up to now, Shanks and the others have achieved their goal, and it has always been their task to escort the child to the holy place of the Guardian family. Chin Luo and the others just did it smoothly and sold their favor. And Olivia's own purpose has always been only one, and that is to study the history of the Guardian family and the undead fleet. Olivia wanted to find a way to restrain the undead fleet. Of course, if it is possible, it would be even better if the Guardian family of 007 is willing to show Olivia their own family's secret techniques. What's the matter, this lady? The last two words, the second elder said very lightly. The old man who read countless people saw through Olivia's disguise at a glance. Olivia did not deny it, nor was she embarrassed to be exposed. She said generously, I want to borrow some of your family's books. I don't know if I can. I'm from. When she said the last few words, Olivia didn't make a sound, but the second elder could understand that the three words were, O'Hara, by looking at her mouth shape. If it is you, there is no problem at all. The ancestors have already instructed me that if the honored guests are willing, I will invite the honored guests to the ancestral land together. The so-called distinguished guests here are naturally Chin Luo and several others. Shanks is not on this trip. After leaving the Lost Sea area, the Guardian family will be separated from the red-haired pirates. The Guardian family's research on the Lost Sea is really thorough. Even with the Red Hair Pirates ship, they can go quickly in the Lost Sea. The speed of the ships when they came was a snail compared to this. As the brightness ahead continued to increase, everyone knew that they were about to leave the Lost Sea.